Hi friends, Rachel here, and it's time for Rachel's Relevant Roundup. What that means is we're only going to be speaking about relevant things. What those relevant things are?
Relevant to whatever it is you find, I guess, the central thesis of the moment. So, depending on how you define that, I guess you could declare just about anything relevant or anything irrelevant accordingly. It's pretty much a limitless superpower.
Well, what I was thinking is that maybe the chat can tell me their type, and then we would go through the 4 conscious functions so that I can get to know them a little bit more.
And you'd be like, hey there, Judy.
Yeah. Hey, Judy.
How are your cognitive functions hanging?
How are they hanging? I want to know. I really do. I like to get to know people, and I think that cognitive functions is a great way of doing that.
And we may be a little slow in gathering people here tonight, Rachel, because, of course, I think I've used up my 3 notifications for 24 hours already.
Yes.
Speaking of which, while we're waiting to gather a few people, why don't we check and see how those earlier videos
are doing?
11 comments on would you poke a hole.
That's great.
I appreciate that
I do
level
too.
of engagement. Let's see what they say. More hole poking, less drama. That's what I talk about. That's what I'm talking about, I think is what he means to say. Wood shank.
That is
nice to hear.
So nice. You should have your own traveling show. Magical ceiling booth.
And you gave people did it all the time.
Cave peeps and their balloons. I'm going to take this little bit. I think I have another nug.
We'll just go to the store and it'd be.
Wow, you get some. I'm happy with those replies. The engagement is fun.
Yeah. This is a pretty fun video.
It is.
Hi, friends. How's Eric here? And Cameron and I noticed this giant diaper. It ran a few days ago, or a week ago, or whatever. And this tarp with this metal holes here, but all bent in, and the weight of the water is right here. And I really want to poke a hole in it.
You're gonna do crimes. The fire won't break it. The fire, it's already been proven the fire won't make us covered in poop, rotting plant shit.
Yeah, well.
Oh my god.
I don't have my knife.
Lucky for you. Get your wetsuit. You come back with a surfboard under there?
I bet it is, though.
Oh my god. In 7th grade science, they show you this thing where they like light fire under a thing, and it won't burn through because the water will lit.
That's a cool science experiment, then, I guess, huh?
Yeah, you need the knife. Oh my god.
I love how Cameron's freaking out.
I'm gonna go back.
You can't burn something and hold something in cold water, I guess.
Science.
Science. Here, let's try this. Kind of nutty, huh?
It is.
Well, it didn't bust the tarp though, huh?
It's a beauty.
That's a pretty silly.
That's a great video. It's silly in all of its greatness.
Oh, that's right. We're live streaming. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
There's only one person. Oh, now there's 4 people here. Hi, Winston's mom.
Hi, Winston's mom. I was hoping you were going to show up. Ponies? Sure. There could be ponies. Did you know that in Chinese astrology, I'm a rat, and the opposite of a rat is a horse? They actually tell people who are year of the rat to be careful around horses for that reason. If
the opposite of a rat is a horse, what's the opposite of a cow? A chicken?
It might be a chicken.
What's the opposite of a capybara?
That's not on the thing.
Mm.
But the opposite, maybe a snake.
Like, you might think in general that the opposite of a bird is a fish, right? Because birds spend a lot of time in the air and almost no time in the water.
Yeah.
Fish spends, in general.
So you are, but I know you're opposite. I don't know the opposites of the cow, but I do know the opposite of yours. Which
What's
is
my
pig.
opposite?
Snake.
Snakes and pigs are opposites?
Yep.
So I wouldn't be in Slytherin.
No, you wouldn't.
Would you think that a pig is mostly a Hufflepuff kind of animal?
Yes. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, sure.
I think.
I just don't want to be Slytherin.
No, you're not. You're not.
They're
the opposite. You're the opposite of those guys.
Who wants to be the bad guys?
Oh, I know some people.
Yeah, well, those people are not me.
I know. And you're a pig.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. He is. The thing they say about pigs is that they have change lying around everywhere. And it's true. There's a dime right there. There's a dime right there.
And we do have a lot of change.
Yeah. It's because that they attract money. They say that pigs, like piggy banks, attract money.
Dulles, 1969. I didn't play with the power tools, so we were fine. As long as it's just the ISTJ playing with the power tools, we're generally fine. I just did commentary.
I think that's growth. I really do. Yeah. Yeah. I fall into the Chinese year of the Earth dog. I think the opposite of the dog is the dragon, I believe, Winston's mom. I believe. I'm not sure. Or maybe the monkey. I'm not sure. Do you know Winston's mom? You're a rabbit? Well, I should fear you, actually, because rabbit is the same as the cat. And in
cats kill rats.
Yeah, cats kill rats.
Cats kill rats
You know
rats
why?
kill bats.
Because of the mythology that the rat pushes the cat in the water as they're heading towards the end of the finish line for the race of the zodiac signs, the calendar. And so that's why cats forever chase rats, because
Who finishes first in the race?
the rat,
Who finishes last?
the pig.
Yeah. It's funny.
Isn't that cute?
I do feel a little bit like a
a pig, despite plenty of winning in my life, in that left to my own devices, I can be pretty comfortable in my pit of mud.
Yeah. So can I. I'm a rat. I'm also a mouse. They had the same thing. Like they say boar, pig, rat, mouse. It's the same word in Chinese. So I feel more mouse-like than rat-like. And when I found out that I was a rat, I had an existential crisis. I was like, what? No, I'm not a rat. I'm not a rat. People hate rats. And I had to accept that, yes, indeed, I am a rat because I'm born in January of 85, not after, like, February or whatever. Like, Chinese New Year is, like, the 12th or something. February 12th. Did that happen already? No.
Yeah, we can populate a whole farmyard. I'd like to, instead of, how many years are there? How many different animals are there?
There's 12, one for each year. So we're actually leaving the year of the rat. So 2020 was year of the rat. And 2021 is going to be metal ox.
I'd like to OP Chinese animal astrology.
Okay.
So that we have 512 subtypes of years.
Ooh.
Or I guess there'd be years. And there's 12. Okay, not okay. So there's 16 types and there's 512 subtypes. Then if there's 12, we're gonna go with 572. 572 total possible animals you could be. Or you know what? We could just do 288. We could scale it back.
Can I keep my mouse?
But you, as a rat, you'd be like a special. You'd be like a North Mongolian subterranean rat or
Can
something.
I be pizza rat?
Yeah, you could be pizza rat.
Yay!
That's one of the subtypes of rat.
Thank you. That is what it should be. One of the subtypes. Those are how practical and efficient.
Well, the thing is, in my new model of Chinese astrology, they're jumpers. So there's a lot of people who are born in a rat year.
Yeah.
But appear to have been born in, say, a pig year.
Oh, like an old soul, or they would have maybe a different year.
Well, a lot of times people get their years backwards. So, for example, I was born in 1971. I might think accidentally I was born in 1791. So that's a common mistyping for my year.
Yeah.
And 1791 and 1971 are different animals. That can cause some confusion.
Yeah.
That's why we need 288 sub-years.
So wait.
To minimize confusion.
Can I have like the same sub-year as...
Basically, you get to pick anything you want. And if it's not a rat, you just say, well, this is a rat that looks exactly like an elephant. For example, if you want it to be an elephant, if you want it to be a giraffe or something.
My first spirit animal I ever discovered was
This is a bad idea. That's going to be.
I know, you're right. All of this.
Here, let me get the little table. Let me get the little table.
Okay, thank you. Cool, Valerie Alba, that you're a rat. Is when you found out that how old were you when you found out that you were a rat in Chinese astrology, and what did you think? I was like 21 when I found out I was a rat. Just now, really. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you looked it up. You love rats? That's so nice. I feel like New York, like, New York is like known for those like people who petition, and they have those like big blow up rats. Like, do they do that in LA?
I don't think so.
Yeah. People who like to like say like go against like corporate places, they will stand outside and they'll have a blow up of a huge rat with red eyes. Yeah.
I've heard that New York is a hell of a town.
New York
Did
is
you
a
just
hell of a
drop
town.
this
Yes,
into
I
your
fucking
coffee?
will.
Hilarious.
Thank you for thinking it's hilarious.
That's some tea, Paul. She has a cup of coffee, right? She's holding this. So naturally, it has weed in it, right? Naturally, it goes drop into there. And all the weed is in her coffee. That's a classic Rachel. You pulled out Plan 7A there from the Rachel.
Thank you. And he just dropped it, so
Yeah,
his tea's not so
same
good
way.
either. Yeah. But seriously, like, I honestly have never realized how many synchronicities there are between ENTP and INFJ. There really are a lot of compatibilities. It's stunning. Rats are clever and able to be friendly. I'm proud to be a rat. Nice, Valerie Alwood. I'm just.
Valerie Wood. Valerie Wood sounds like a town that was made in your honor, like Dollywood, but Valerie Wood.
I want to know what would be at Valerie Wood.
Things that Valerie Alwood likes.
Yeah, I want to know what she would put in it.
Oh yeah, how are you decorating Valerie?
Yeah,
Valerie. What was it? It was
Valerie Wood.
Valerie Wood.
Yeah.
Right, Valerie Wood.
Yeah, how would you decorate what would you have at Valerie Wood? Like,
knowing that it's the comparable to Dollywood.
Yeah. Like, if I had a Rachel Wood, that's it.
It'd be Rachel's Getaway.
Rachel's Getaway. There would be like a outdoor concert kind of thing going on. Well, maybe monthly. I think monthly is pretty good with like DJs that I like, and it would be like a small like you could buy tickets, and it would be like DJs that are like fucking cool, not like stupid ones, you know what I mean?
What if Throwing Muses keeps bugging you to book them?
Who?
Throwing Muses.
Who's Throwing Muses?
A band from a long time ago.
Yeah, why not?
Well, I saw them.
And they were bad?
They were pretty bad.
Oh, shit! No,
I
have to go through you, yes.
Yeah, if there's a band that you don't know, ask me first. Because
yeah.
I don't want to walk out one afternoon and discover Throwing Muses playing in my backyard.
So, I've always wanted to go to a rave. That's always what, like, but I've wanted to go with people that I really, like, trust and love. So, that's what I would have at mine. At Rachel Wood, there's a monthly rave.
Electric Daisyland once a month.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna burn out, so fast because it's a 7 idea.
Right. Well, yeah. Once a month is very ambitious, but
Are you okay once a year?
Once a month for 1 month is not so ambitious.
Once a month for one. Okay, so
At least one time.
At least one time there'll be a rave there.
We call it
Rachel's rave.
Jay-Z Electric Jay-Z Land.
Ooh, okay.
That way you can take some of Electric Daisyland's fire and people will know what your thing is, except it'll have Rachel in it. So
that's what you call your morning wood leaf trimmer, Rachel wood. That's funny. I wonder if people wearing day glow COVID masks and carry really long glow sticks at the raves during the pandemic. Yes, that will be happening. You know it. Good and Winston's mom.
I bet there haven't really been any raves during the pandemic. Not very many anyway.
No.
The thing is, it has not yet happened that the world is like rejected these norms.
Yeah.
It's too difficult to reject independently. Like you don't ever know if the person next to you is gonna freak out if you don't have a mask on, or go thank you and take their own mask off.
Yeah.
And so you have to always err on the side of caution that they're gonna freak out.
Yeah. I think that kind of stuff, like, so we know because we went over to the setup of it, but the Electric Daisy Carnival that would normally be held here was just a drive-through experience. Like, I think like really large gatherings are going to have to change. It's like I keep on thinking about like big event stuff and how it's just going to be so different. Okay, at Valerie Atwood, people would be trying to tame wild animals with food. We would all be looking online for their favorite foods and be calling to them softly and enticing them and taming them to trust us. The reward is we are all at love with nature and their peace and love.
And the only cost is an occasional lion mauling.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a big deal.
That's not a big deal.
There should be...
if
you just have that in the fine print.
If you get mauled by a lion, you obviously weren't loving enough in offering it food.
Right. So in the fine print, when they sign that they can be mauled by a tiger, they'll just have to accept it. That's part of the experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's what skydivers do. They basically sign off like, hey, I could die. Like...
I don't want to skydive, but I do want.
I don't want to skydive.
I do want to increase the amount of hot air balloon travel.
I do too.
You know, I have a really good idea earlier about how a pre-industrial civilization could use cables. But you know, there'd be like pre-industrial like hemp cables or something with a ring around them to tether hot air balloons, and you could make a gondola going up a mountain. But of course, there'd be no way to get over the poles, so you'd have to go like pole to pole and then have it switch out from one ring to the next. You know what I'm saying? And anyway, it would seem to me the most efficient way, the least amount of energy to get up the mountain would be hot air balloon.
I like that idea.
I wonder if you could get a big stick with a giant hook at the end of it, and go up in your hot air balloon and sort of like have two of them like ski poles, like giant ski poles, and grab the ground and pull yourself to where you want to go. What do you think? Is that possible?
A hippie commune? That's nice.
I mean, Valerie, it sounds like you're basically you're opening a place where everyone gets to be a Disney princess and have, you know, all the birds and stuff land on their shoulders and to have the deers come and munch grasses from their lap.
Yeah, like an anchor.
I haven't seen Ascension with David Blaine. I don't know anything about it.
Me neither.
Valerie Wood is what it's called, though. Valerie Wood.
Valerie, yeah.
Don't forget the name of it. It's Valerie Wood.
Valerie Wood.
Let me be a princess. UWU. If I were going to go to Disney Princess Land, I would want to go probably to Pocahontas Land, I guess, because of all the things that Disney princesses do.
Do they have Pocahontas?
Colorful wind dancing is my favorite.
That's nice. Do they have Pocahontas Land?
I don't know. I'm just saying, if you imagine each Disney princess having a land.
They do.
Do they?
Like Yeah, kind of.
Well, I mean, they show a
much.
universe, right? Like
Yeah.
if you go to Ariel's land, you better be able
Yeah.
to breathe underwater.
Yeah, exactly.
If you go
When
to the
you're-
Lion King's land, you better be able to kill wildebeest with your jaw.
Yeah, and when you're in Peter Pan land, you better be able to fly.
You better be able to fly.
Ready to fly anyway. You should be
Yeah.
ready to.
And
Yeah.
you're gonna have to keep your hands off that chick, the older girl who's there taking care of him. Wendy.
Yeah.
Keep your hands off of her. Okay.
I lost my
Keep it clean.
I don't know if they have the Peter Pan ride at Disneyland.
I don't think they have Peter Pan ride at Disneyland.
So the Peter Pan ride at Disney World, you sit in a pirate ship and like you're on a cable. See, this is another thing, like just like your hot air balloon could totally do it. So like it's on a cable and you like fly like around. It's pretty cool. Like it's a fun ride. It's always one that like you have to wait a long time for because it's just so fun. But I was taking a video of it because I was like, I have to share this. And my bag dropped and will be forever a
What was in your bag?
a picture of me and my grandma La Pelosa, my not my phone because it was in my hands, my earbuds and my like wallet.
Ouch.
Yeah. And we went to the people at like the front desk at Disney and we tried to you want to skydive, Valerie Alwood? I am not okay with skydiving. There's a famous interview of what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio, who said he almost died twice while skydiving. After I heard that, I was like, hell no. I'm okay.
I want to go in a hot air balloon. I've never been in one.
Me neither. It sounds very nice.
It seems like the only way you could really conceivably get yourself up into the air. It's like I would not trust myself to build a plane for myself or build a helicopter or even hang glide or any of those kind of things. I would potentially trust myself to make a hot air balloon and with a tether to the ground, make it so it just goes up and doesn't go to the side too much.
Yeah, Andre is right. It's safer than driving a car. Valerie Alwood's already been in a hot air balloon twice, and they are awesome. So
have you been in one, Rachel?
No, I haven't.
Okay, on our bucket list.
Yay!
Is romantic hot air balloon ride.
I have a question.
Yes, darling.
Will you crash a wedding with me?
If we crash it in a hot air balloon, for sure. Which wedding do you want to crash in a not
just a random one? I've always just wanted to crash a reception. I don't know why.
It's the sort of thing that
sounds better than it actually is.
Well, I was gonna say that it kind of requires alcohol.
Oh shit! Well,
if you're gonna go play rascally rat packer,
yeah, they're not gonna like the stoner. They're gonna want you to be drinking.
We could try to crash a reception really nicely and say, hey, we're here and we're from a YouTube channel.
Well,
we're here to gather stories about people in that.
Oh my god, that
like that
sounds good. That sounds really good. That sounds very good. And like we can like schmooze with the people. There's gonna be some people who don't show up, and then like we can like be there too. Like it just falls into place. I don't want it to be like planned at all, or maybe I don't know.
I am doing well.
I say things now and then they change. So
here's the thing about a hot air balloon. You're never going to get it hot enough if you're just trying to heat it up by putting more blankets on it. I'm going to go to the bathroom now.
Okay. So, everyone, I want to know your type. Because I want to start learning the function stacks. And I figured who best than our lovely channel? Who better than our lovely channel? I crashed one, went there naked drunk, and kept yelling, "This wedding's whack, come at me." That's funny. See, like, but we don't drink. He's right. It's a little bit different. Like he said, like, if we were to like say we were like driving somewhere, like, and we see like a wedding is going on, like that would be fun, you know? Maybe we can see like two people getting married, which is very romantic. I don't know why I've always wanted to crash one. Like, I like parties. I guess I've always wanted to crash a party. I've never crashed. I've never crashed a party. So maybe I could just like. Bill Murray crashes parties. He has he's known for, well, actually getting drunk and going to these parties too. So I don't know. Okay, so anyone know the type? Who's here? My dad crashed a wedding and met my mom. Really, Andres? That's kind of romantic. In my 7 world. It's not crashing when they want you there, right, ENFJ? You've accidentally? See, that's even funnier. Accidentally crashing a party? That is funny. Life syncrotic. That would be a nice story, too. I'd take that as well. Accidentally crashing. How'd you accidentally crash? You just like, how? I got crashed my car into multiple deer that much. Really? Seamus the drunk? What? That's cray. Wow. So you never know could it happen when you crash. I can't wait to go to a wedding with Eric because it'll be the first time that I'll have. No, I'm sorry. Not the first time, but I will have a weed smoker buddy so I can take weed breaks, which is so nice because I'm going to need weed breaks with my family. That's if we even get together for it or I'm invited. Who knows at this point? Go to Santa Fe and do it in the hot air balloon. Best place for it? Cool. Santa Fe. Best place for balloon. Hot air balloon. Air balloon. Noted. Yeah, I'm a J. But see, in socionics, I'm ENFP. In socionics, I'm INFP because in socionics, they say that INFJs are actually perceivers. So, I am an INFJ, but INFJs are perceivers, not judgers. Thanks, Ghostwriter. I appreciate it. I like Pukoki. She seems like she's a nice girl. I mean, you want to do these impulsive things like crash a wedding. That's too impulsive for me. I do want to do impulsive things. I like pranking people. This is where my 7 comes in. Thanks, Life Syncrotic. I really appreciate it so much. You have no idea. It's the truth. I appreciate all you guys. So I really like prank phone calling people. me and my friend Jen from New York, we used to get the list of different movie production companies and leave voicemails on their messages. And yeah, some of them called us back. Yeah, TWFP phone pranks. Let's go. I mean, I don't know how Eric would feel about that. What else do I really want to do? Oh, I always wanted to. So one of the pranks that I wanted to do was take a stack of sticky notes, like a sticky notepad, and write like "hello" with a smiley face and stick it on people's car. Like just random like hearts and stick it on their car, like stick it on the with the sticky note to their car. Oh my God, yes, call in sick to places that you don't work at. Didn't Jenna Marbles do that? I heard that Jenna Marbles is done with YouTube. Does anyone follow Jenna Marbles? She left YouTube and she was huge. I've thought of doing some things to creep them out, making them think I'm creeping when I'm just creeping to get them creeped out. I know, right? Life's necrotic. Like, it really, like, I really do feel like I can be creepy. Like, I definitely, like, INFJs can be creepy. You know how, like, INTJs have, like, the stare? Like, I feel like INFJs have like the creepy sayings. Thank you, Valerie Elwood. We have a very healthy relationship because I feel like this is a long time coming. I dated a long time I dated for a long time. For like 10 years I was dating, and I didn't know anything about types at all. I thought that I was an ENFP. That's all I knew. I knew Myers-Briggs from college, and I took like on Similar Minds. I took a test and I got ENFP. Then I started dating, and I actually had. She's still alive. We're just not best friends anymore. My best friend in Franklin Square, Jen, she's an ENTP. And it was the most, I don't know, yeah. I feel very lucky to be with Eric because we get along so well. Yeah, I feel like sometimes I say creepy things. Like, I'm very into tarot and esoteric things. So, thank you. So sometimes I'll say, like, something that'll creep people out. I absolutely have creeped people out. 100%. Like, I used to be very into astrology. And I would read people's birth charts for free. And I'd be like, oh, you're like this and that and this, and it shows this and that and that. And a lot of times it'd be accurate. And people would be like, ha ha ha, you're nice. We like you. We're never going to talk to you again. So it happens. Morge says, Leaf, I'm not blindly getting the vaccine. I've done research and found the risk is worth taking. I wouldn't be surprised if I get some mild side effects, but I'm not worried about it much else. Morge, are you getting the vaccine for personal reasons or for business reasons. Typologically, I think I'm a sensor, but my historical interest profile is what people would expect from an intuitive type. It says lysynchronic. I think the easiest thing to tell apart is the sensor versus intuitive. If you feel like you're a sensor, you probably are. RC says, I have a collection of jarred animal parts. INFJs are definitely creepy. Ew. I mean, I don't have that kind of creepy stuff. But, yeah, we can be. I mean, sometimes I would go over too much with my crushes, you know. INFJs are known to be idealists, so I would idealize like crushes that I had, and I would get creepy. It's true. Goth vibe. All right, so really, what? So, you love creepy shit? Let's do some cards. You want to pull some cards? Let's pull some cards. Virus has 99% recovery rate. People, bro, let's go get the vaccine. I don't know. Okay, cool. Well, let's get some cards. I'm going to use the feminist deck. I'm going to use the Mother Peace feminist deck that Eric got me as a present while we were traveling in Oregon to visit Hambone and Zandy. Oops. Okay. And also, I felt like these cards are just like right, because if you guys haven't seen any boobies in a while or men's chests, you got to see them here. That's pretty special, you know? No, I'm not an ENFP. My dad's an ENFP, though. For a long time, I thought I was an ENFP, and my life was, like, out of control. I never felt like it, really. You know, it was like, 8%. Like, 8% of the population tests as ENFP. That's pretty high. I don't feel... Like, I feel like more of an outcast than an ENFP. So then I contacted Eric and was like, you know, I've been testing. I'm into typology. I would like to be typed. And him and Spacey typed me. And they got the closest ever, ENFJ. All right. So, Valerie Elwood, these 3 cards are going to be for you. They'll be your head, your heart, and your bowels. Okay, this one's for your head. 2 of discs. You're balancing. You're the mother who's tending to the twins with both boobies. Plus, there's like 2 snakes, and they're like, or maybe it's just one, and you're completing the circle. That's your head. You're thinking about balancing things. Mostly money, but it could be nurturing stuff too. This is your heart. Your heart is strength. Ooh, you're the naked lady who's having some fun with some animals. You're strong. They come to you. These animals come to you. You don't go to them. They come to you. And your bowels. Let's see how they're doing, how they're feeling, because a lot of people don't. This card popped right out. A lot of people don't think about bowels, but here at TWFP we do. We think about bowel movements, and we know how they're important. You got 4 cups. You guys get to see butts, all right? You got boobs, butts, and pecs here. I don't know if there's peen. I don't remember. But so yeah, 4 cups. Means you're a little bored. You're kind of like playing in the water, but you don't really want to go into the ocean, even though it's so close. But you're like, nah. I'm just gonna. So your bowels may be like kind of stuck. All right, Seamus the drunk, you're next. And then Winston's mom. Yes, they are pornographic discs of mystique. All right. Who did say was going next? Seamus. Seamus the drunk. Your head. Ooh. 8 of discs. You got some women on your mind. And they're working women. They're traditional, doing pottery, making crafts. You got 8 pentacles, so you're working hard. Maybe got some co-workers who were female, or you got your Take what you will. It could be that you know that women are doing a lot of crafty things, or you're feeling crafty, maybe. All right. Take what you will. All right. Your heart is the world. Hello. You are just in your element. People are surrounding you. You're the world. You're coming to a completion in your heart because you got all those 8 ladies. You got those ladies doing plates and crafts for you. And then your bowels, how they're doing. They're moving along, feeling stuck, or they a little too loose, or if they're just, healthy and happy. No, that's something that you should do, Seamus the drunk. You should tell your slaves to sit on your face because communication is key. All right. Winston's mom. Oh no, your bowels. I'm sorry, your bowels. Your bowels. Ooh, High Priestess. Your bowels are very intuitive. You are, when you gotta go, and that doesn't means if it means you're gonna pee on the side of a building, or take a dump in the bushes, like you're very intuitive when it comes to your bowel movements. Bowel, yeah. So that's Seamus the drunk's. Now Winston's mom, and then Ghost Rider. Yes, Duelist 1969. It does mean it'll be holy shist. Holy shysters. Yeah, you really do have to be careful after taking a dump in the bushes. Okay. Winston's mom's head. 10 of discs. She's like hanging with the women. Some of these women can also be men who have feminine disposition. She is just enjoying sitting back, with her money and her friends. That's where her head's at. Where's her heart? Her heart. Ooh, Ace of Swords. You're kind of liking meditating. You have a meditative heart right now. You're thinking a lot. You're more in your head. You're transitioning into a new phase, just like this butterfly. And then your bowels. Bowels. One flipped up. Ooh, Hanged Man. Right? This way. Yeah, this way. The Hanged Man. This is number 12. Kind of just hanging in there. Might be a little backed up. You might be so pensive and you might be so in your head that maybe, you know, I don't know what to say about this actually. But yeah, number 12, Hanged Man. It's a time of period and rest. So maybe you're, need some Medi-Measle. Bow towels. That's true, Oliver Linehand. They should be called bow towels. All right, and Ghost Rider. Boom, boom. This one came out, flipped out. It was meant for you. Boom, 3 of Wands. You're getting your groove on. You're feeling your oats. You're sharing maybe with some younger folks, because like this could be you, and these could be like younger people who are around you who are like feeling inspired. You might like elephants. There's an elephant there. Also like an alpaca, I think that is. I don't know. But yeah, so you're feeling hot, you're feeling good, you're feeling groovy. Teamwork has to do with the 3 of Wands. Waiting for your the rest of your people to come home. Your heart. Where's your heart at? Oh no, so many fell out. I am not taking all of those. Your heart must be very fluttery, Ghost Rider. Let's see. Ooh, flipped out right away. Ooh, your heart is the sun. You're feeling good. You've got your animals and you've got your friends. And look, not only that, but you have balloons. Maybe they're hot air balloons. Your bowels. The third and last card for Ghost Rider. Oh, you got 2. Oh, no, 3. I can't take them. Too many. Just want 1 for your. How's your tummy? How is Ghost Rider's tummy? And intestines, large intestines, doing? Ooh, 2 cups. A little watery maybe. But when you're on the toilet, there's a good chance that you're thinking about love. There's nothing wrong with being idealistic and having lovely thoughts while on the toilet. You know, imagination. I get a lot of work done when I'm on the toilet. Like, I like bringing my phone into the toilet with me. And I daydream and I delete emails, you know. Waterlogged, exactly. Like syncrotic. That did happen, Ghost Rider. I'm happy to hear that. At Akula, yeah, I respect your decision. The reason that's the case is because they're the bugged consumers. They buy the most. At Leaf Trimmer, Akula says, at Leaf Trimmer, oh yeah, thanks. I don't know. I just think I don't really like to be a band for only girls to like. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Most boy bands are like not seen as, I don't know, BTS, I don't know. I'm not into their music in particular, but they're very, like, I only know females who like BTS. Actually, no, Leaf Trimmer is, Leaf Trimmer, are you female or male? You're male, right? So you like BTS. I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, jazz and candles set the mood. They do. Winston's mom says, I always filled our bathrooms with books right from the start. The only option for everyone. And in the car, books, and more books. That's good. What kind of books, Winston's mom? Would you have like all different kinds for every personality? Or did you have like stuff that you enjoyed? That is such a 5 thing. Oh my God. Winston's mom, when I think about Enneagram, I think about 5s a lot. And I think of 5s being surrounded by books. Yeah, I actually did listen, Akula, to BTS. I had an INFP coworker who really likes BTS, and I was like, they're very like visually stunning. Like they have really cool videos, but I don't like their music. It's very cotton candy. So Winston's mom, your family must have had, and guests must have had a lot to talk about, because, and must have a lot of knowledge on a lot of different things. I would think that some of the stuff that was read was absorbed. The YouTuber name is Jake the Snake 52. He's a racist behind the scenes, Michael Brady says. I don't know that YouTuber at all. And if he is, that sucks. The best boy band is NSYNC. I agree with you, Leaf Trimmer. I definitely agree with you. No, I don't actually agree with you, Ghostwriter. I don't think Backstreet Boys are the best. I think NSYNC is. And that I do also think that it was smart of Justin Timberlake to peace out from the boy band scene, because then he was able to actually, Nirvana is the best boy band. Thank you, Michael Brady. Actually, I think the best boy band is the Beatles, but I don't think of them as a boy band, even though I think when they came over here, they were kind of. But I love the Nirvana. The White Stripes saved you from boy bands? Yo, you know who's... They saved me from boy bands too, actually, back in the day. They saved me from boy bands and from Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears. And they saved me... And who else did too? The Strokes. Strokes and the White Stripes saved me from just boy bands and just, like Britney and Christina pop. That's the reason why I do sort of like BTS choreography, etc. I'm not a legit fan, though. What makes you not a legit fan? Who's... Oh, you saw the Grammy performance. Oh my God, RC. That Grammy performance, I remember too. It was so good. for the White Stripes, right? Is that right? Yeah, so good. We must be, how old are we? We must be around the same age. Did you like watching MTV like music awards and stuff like that? Yeah, I feel like MTV was like, the MTV awards were like so much cooler back in the day. Like it was a real like event for like teens and people in their 20s to watch. Just turned 30. Congratulations, dirty 30. So yeah, we're about the same age. I'm 5 years older than you. I'm 36. Yeah, I know, Leaf Trimmer. Nirvana isn't a boy band. Nirvana was a legit band. And I miss them. I remember before I came to California, I watched this YouTube on Kurt Cobain. For some reason, I was having like, I don't know, like I felt connected to him because I was in second grade when he died, and it really hit me. And I guess I was like kind of like mourning his death a little bit, and he's a fascinating guy. I actually did some astrology on Kurt Cobain, and it's said by astrologers that he has the most water in any chart they've ever read before. He's like all water planets, all water, like in the house, like the houses are watery, like he's all watery, like aspects. So it was almost like they were saying that he like wasn't like grounded enough to like be in this world, but I don't know. I don't remember what his sun moon is. I think his sun is Pisces. Let me check right now. So he was like a super feminine guy too, and he considered himself to be a feminist as well. And I think a lot of people who knew him considered him to be more feminine than masculine, and that's kind of part of the grungy spirit too. So let's see, Kurt Cobain birth chart. Okay, so his sun was in Pisces, moon in Cancer, but his ascendant is in Virgo, so he did have some. That's probably his only. I don't know what the other placements are, though. They say the dominant signs for his chart are Pisces, Virgo, and Cancer. So I don't really know, but I think he's like a very interesting guy to study, because I do think he was murdered. I do not think that he killed himself. So yeah. Thanks, Ghostwriter. That's nice of you to say. The Monkees is a boy band too. But see, that's the thing. Like, Winston's mom, do you consider the Beatles to be a boys band? Because they started out as a boys band, but the Monkees always kind of stayed as a boy band. They didn't really like go into like rock. Like, I'm not even sure they really took drugs. Reason why I'm not a legit fan is that, well, the music industry is promoting agendas. A lot of these chicks straight up idolize them, and I'm against idolatry, of course. Yeah, you know, a lot of people do like idolize them. I don't know. There's a gossip columnist that I follow, LaineyGossip.com, and she loves BTS. She's always hyping them up, and I never know why. Yeah, the monkeys didn't even play their own instruments either, Karma's Pimp. That's what my dad always said. My dad hated the monkeys. He grew up in the time of like my dad grew up in the time of like the Beatles and the Stones and the Who, Jefferson Airplane. He liked them a lot. Cream, the Zombies. That's interesting, Winston Small, also because you're right, they were older. So they were older than you. So that's cool that to you they weren't boys. They were actually like men. Because I think John actually was like significant, like he was like in his 20s or so when they hit it big. And then Paul's like, I think maybe 2 or 3 years younger than him. I don't remember. I know that Paul's young. John is or Ringo's the oldest. I don't know. So the Monkees are a boy band, but I have a question. My dad likes to ask this question at parties. See, my dad is an ENFP. He asks party questions. George Harrison passed away from cancer, leaf tremor. He had cancer, unfortunately. Cool. The Beatles are older than me too. I think they are like grandpas now when I hear them on the radio. See, the problem that I think when people I agree with what Karma's Pimp says. The Beatles started with that clean thing, playing family reunion music, but they soon started having just having fun, experimenting, exploring. Exactly. And that's when when they started getting experimenty and like, because they had consistently wrote their own stuff. So they were able to evolve. And once they stopped touring, especially, they spent hours and days in the studio for Sgt. Pepper's. So, and the thing about the Beatles is that if you know their old stuff the thing is, if you know all their albums, you actually see the progression. If you just hear a song by them, like here or there, it's like not the same as listening to full albums. I was lucky to grow up in a house where my dad had Beatles CDs, and also we would go to the library, and my dad would we would take out Beatles CDs, and I was just obsessed. I highly recommend for anyone who is a Beatles critic to check out the Beatles Blue album and Red album. The Red album has their old stuff on it, like I Want to Hold Your Hand, Michelle, Yesterday. And the Blue album has like Obladi Obada, Lady Madonna, Revolution. So you get to really see the progression of the Beatles music. That's what they're going to be known for, is how far they progressed and how much they changed music in such a short period of time. Whether you like them or you don't, you can't discredit that they changed music for all of time. Winston's mom says, I still have my albums, and on some of them I scribbled little notes. It's funny to see how I drew myself kissing Elvis. That's so cute, Winston's mom. I used to have a crush on Elvis when I saw him in, I think, like one of his Hawaiian movies when I was like 5 or something. I thought he was really cute. Elvis. You think the film Tommy is better than The Wall, says Karma's Pimp? My dad would probably agree with you on that too. My dad really likes Tommy a lot, and he really likes the like album as a whole. I don't know Tommy, so I can't comment. I watched The Monkey Show, actually, Karma's Pimp. It used to be on like Nick at Night or like Nick on the Weekend or something. It was on TV for a little bit, and I would watch it, and my dad would be like, "Ugh, you're watching that again? Ugh, like they don't even write their own music or play their own instruments." And I would be like, "Really?" Yeah, they're basically in so many commercials. Help! I need somebody. That one commercial, yeah, the Beatles. Well, like that's because, I mean, Paul was like, I want to continue getting money, so he let them use their music in commercials and stuff. So let's watch. I should take a bong rip right now. I like Peter Tork too, Winston's mom. I thought he was goofy. My dad went to Woodstock. He paid money, actually. He's upset that he never kept the ticket. Because he's like, oh, they're probably worth so much money now. But he didn't keep the ticket, and he went there with his buddies, and he always says how he didn't get to see a lot of his favorite bands because his buddies wanted to hang out like in the at the place where his friends like family lived. So yeah, like he didn't get to see a lot of. He went to Woodstock and he didn't get to see a lot of his bands that he liked. That's really cool. I met Davy Jones, and Mickey Dolenz at a nightclub. My stepfather's brother managed Big Daddy's in Jacksonville, so we were able to go backstage and meet them. It was 1977. They were so nice. I've actually heard very nice things about them too. Winston's mom, Davy Jones, and Mickey Dolenz. I've never actually like met a celebrity like that before. That's pretty cool. Okay, this is happening. So wait, okay. Winston's mom, I'm gonna start with you. Hey!
I'm back.
Yay!
I'm back from outer space.
I'm so glad.
I've cashed in all of my space dollars and converted them back into Earth dollars. So we should be fine.
Good, I'm glad.
So you're telling me we're almost out of weed? Oh. Hi, Aquila. Are you somebody who has a lot of accolades? There is a house in New Orleans where lots of whores will hump. It's been the ruin of many people of both genders. and we certainly regret issuing a commercial license to that whorehouse in the first place. I believe those were the original lyrics to that song. Dave Sanderson.
Sylvia Brown.
It's a pretty good joke,
Interesting.
actually. Eric Burden was the shit. Who's Eric Burden? Um, well, I guess if you were using it to dab the pee off the tip of your penis, you'd call it a wiener cleaner. That might work. Or I don't know. Is there what was the actual answer? No, wiener cleaner. Wiener cleaner. That's a Inky Pinky or toilet paper. If you're using it to clean your wiener. A bowel towel. Oh, that's pretty good, Oliver Linehan. I like it.
Yeah, isn't that good?
Of course, that would be more like the proper clue to that would be an intestinal rag, the bowel towel.
Glad to see you're wearing that.
Thanks. Yeah. It gives me boosts in both constitution and strength.
Ooh.
Oliver said it before. He said it again for you, Eric. Oh, thank you for saying so, Oliver Linehan. I appreciate it. Medhi, hello. How are you? Mehti spells Medhi. Peener is another wiener, so peener cleaner would be fine. For a cleaner peener, use Wiener Cleaner's Peener Cleaner brand toilet paper. Duty. I don't think it's actually a rhyme. Well, Mitty, I am doing somewhere between terrible and fantastic. I might be doing fantastic.
You're playing something nice out there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was thinking about something interesting earlier. I probably don't quite recall what it was. It was when I was going to the bathroom. Bathroom is a place of great contemplations.
That's what I was saying.
I think a lot on the toilet. What was I thinking about? I was thinking about metaphysical. Well, I guess about digital to analog conversion, basically. Like, if you think back to when they first came up with like a word processor that was independent of a computer, because there was a stretch of time when computers couldn't word process as well as a separate device that had some extra like typing stuff on it, right? The thing is, if you imagine a word processor, it's difficult to conceive of it without some kind of screen. So, like, if you were to imagine trying to explain digitalization of text to somebody before digitization existed, then you try to say, well, it's like a piece of paper that's very, very long, but you can, it's like a paper on a roll, essentially. It's very long. You look through a square and you can see what you've written here, and you can go backwards and forwards in it, and you can change it because it doesn't actually print. You can imagine that it's just superimposing an image of the letters onto this paper until you push print, in which case it actually prints it out as a printed document. So it's like if you were to try to explain to somebody prior to the invention of digitization, you have to explain it as a phenomenon of typesetting.
Would you like a ice cream sandwich?
No, thank you. I would like nothing in particular.
Okay.
You believe the first computers used punch cards? Well, I'm saying if you were trying to explain the advantages or the differences between a digital ecosystem for information and a physical ecosystem. Physical ecosystem being a library. A library's got a bunch of different books in it. The first thing you have to explain when you are talking to someone prior to digitization is this concept of an infinitely long piece of paper, basically. That if you start a notepad document, right, you will, and start typing words into it, you can type forever and never run out of notepad document paper. It's like the capacity to process data is so much greater than the capacity to generate data if you're only generating text, that it's not possible for any human being to type so much that they, over the course of their life, that exactly like a CVS receipt.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right. I mean, and you're talking about like dot matrix printers, Dulles 1969, where they have the holes on the side and it pulls them up and they're in stacks, right? But like John Kerouac wrote on the road on a roll of paper. He put it into his typewriter, and then it just kept on rolling out. Like he never had to put in a new page.
Wow.
So it's like that's the first concept you try to get across to somebody in a pre-industrial society when trying to explain it, is well, first of all, you got to get the idea that you're looking at a page that's like infinitely long, like a roll of paper, and then you're looking for a square here. So they get the concept that when you scroll up, you can see here, and when you go forward, you can see down here what you did, and then the idea is that it's explained to them that basically it's just projecting light through cutouts of the letters, right? So that right now you're just seeing a projected, you're setting up the typesetting like you would for a normal printing press, except instead of printing through it, it's just shining lights through holes that look like a K or something. And so if you imagine on this document right now, you need to change something, then you can go to that K, you can change it to whatever other letter it needs to be, because it hasn't actually printed onto the paper. It's just projecting the light image of it on there. And then eventually, when you've decided that's exactly how you want your document to look, then you push a button and it goes and prints it all that there. They would at least get the concept then of having a conditional representation of the document prior to having it manifest in any physical form. Well, see, when I was a kid, I was 1969. Well, you're from 1969, you too. I'm 71, so I had those dot matrix printers for a long time. Kiersey says the ENTPs are inventors. Well, we're inventors of maps. We're really lexicographer. No, what's the word for map making? Cartographers. Not so much that we invent things as we map things. However, it does often seem to be the case that we are, by saying what reality is, trying to make reality be like that rather than actually mapping it. So there's that phenomenon as well. That's the inventive part of it. It's like, no, I don't want to describe what reality is. I want to say what I think it should be, and then everyone get on the same page narratively, and then it will be that, you know. He's an inventor with products at Home Depot. Well, I invented my hot air balloon gondola, or transporting stuff up to the top of a mountain without electricity machine.
I like that.
You think that probably some primitive people would have come up with that already, like if they needed to transport themselves up and down a mountain, why not use a tethered hot air balloon? So you only have to walk up it once. I mean, it's assuming you're able to install the cables and everything on one trip. But
They made the pyramids.
they made the pyramids in one day. That's the crazy thing.
Is that what they say? Okay. I was like, what? Okay, that's totally a lie.
A Great Pyramid of Giza, the foreman who was in charge of operations stunned everyone when he clocked out, done, at 22 hours, 44 minutes. It was like, Jesus Christ, that's a big pyramid to make in 22 hours.
Yeah, really?
Well, thanks to these hundreds of thousands of slaves. He tends to get screwed by the lawyers and the hot surfer chicks who follow his band. That's why you don't. If you're an ENTP, you shouldn't have lawyers. Do your own lawyering. It's not so much about feeling wronged on an FI level than it is about having information revealed that you didn't want necessarily revealed and wanted to control your perception of it. Yes, other people do want to control third parties' perceptions of them sometimes. So, I mean, control the perceptions of, like, A wants B to think blank of C is a real phenomenon. Thing is, with me, third slot, it's more like A cares what B thinks about A, and A cares what C thinks about A. A doesn't really care what B thinks about C. It's like, that's the difference between second and third slot, maybe. Oh, you little bugs.
Yeah.
You dastardly little devils, you.
Dastardly little devils is the greatest way to describe them.
We've got these little flies. They're like fruit flies, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have any fruit.
Nope.
They just they get kind of up in the sink a bit.
Yeah, they live in the sink.
It's not even like a filthy sink. Sometimes it gets dirty because it gets coffee stains on it and stuff.
Stains.
But it's not like it's full of dirty dishes or something.
Mm-mm.
Racist what? Racist. Misogynist. Your turn. homophobic. Oh, I'm racist. No, I'm not. That's a false claim. People who think I'm racist are probably racist, but I can't say for sure that you are. You're definitely not willing to actually engage what I'm saying at all. If you were, then you wouldn't conclude that I'm racist. Well, let's give them a chance to actually engage me on the subject a bit. And then, if need be, we'll get rid of them. The thing is, I don't even care if you accuse me of being racist if you actually want to talk to me about it. If you just want to shit on me without hearing me, then you're wasting my time. What are you, Bruce? What does that mean? What are you? I'm a human being. I'm a badass motherfucker. I'm a gentle wonder. I'm a breeze. I'm a pleasant spring breeze. Yeah, BHM is so dumb. Yeah. Did you watch the video? This isn't what this video is called, though, right? That was several days ago. Did you watch it, Broussard, or did you come in here before watching it to accuse me of shit that you jumped to conclusions about? If you watched it and still came in here and said that, then you're almost certainly an ESFP. It's crazy, though. Can you imagine living in a universe where if somebody thinks BHM is dumb, they must be racist? I mean, what a weird conclusion to jump to.
That is a weird conclusion to jump to.
Because, I mean, BHM is dumb. Black History Month is dumb in the same way that Black seating section is dumb, or colored drinking fountains are dumb. I mean, if you're pro-segregation, pro-reduction of individuals into make-believe thing called a race that you can then confer upon them lesser identity with, if you're in favor of all that, then you're in favor of Black History Month. But if you oppose that stupid shit, then you oppose Black History Month. For obvious reasons. I mean, it's like, right? When I do self-identify as Black, when my race switches over to Black, because I'm fluidly transracial, when I am Black, I'm very offended by Black History Month. If I'm feeling like being offended on that given day, or I'm giddy with delight at its silliness, depending on my mood.
That is truly how it goes.
His projections, Bruce R. Well, the thing is, Bruce R. actually hasn't followed up yet from his BHM is so dumb question mark. So I don't know yet. I don't mind. I don't mind it if somebody comes in and says, "What's up, my trigger? Trigger warning, y'all."
Mm-hmm.
What is up, my trigger? Indeed, and the answer is as much and as little as you'd like. BHM is an attempt to teach people about our horrible past. That things that happen to Black people can be segmented off and put in a separate but equal section. Is that what you're saying? Is that how they're teaching us? Let's make things about Black people separate, but equal special, because they need special help. Is that your attitude, Bruce R? Are you one of those those poor little Black people, we need to help them with a special month? Are you one of those patronizing racists? I mean, what do you recommend? I mean, I'm not recommending a course of action be taken about Black History Month. For example, if I were a teacher, I'd take the opportunity during Black History Month, if I were still a classroom teacher, to explain why Black History Month was so dumb. That's what I would do if I were a teacher. So I guess I'm saying if you want to be correct and you are a teacher or a student, you should direct your discursive energies towards explaining why Black History Month is so dumb and racist, rather than being frame-walked like that, you know? No. Come on, kids. Today we're learning how to be racist in a nice way. It is a shortest month. You know what? Here's my recommendation. I think we do Black History Month only on those years where February has more than 28 days. They really only need 1 month every 4 years, I think. It's like there's like that makes them like the Olympics. That makes them extra special. 1 month every 4 years. So special. What do you recommend we do as a country about the state of Black people in this country? Absolutely nothing. Because anytime you focus on race, you are unfortunately guaranteeing that your policy approach is going to fail. For example, Black Lives Matter. What have they done? They've made it more possible for cops to get away with murder. Why? Because now the problem isn't that cops are killing people, innocent people. It isn't that individual rights are being violated. It isn't that they are taking the law into their own hands. It isn't that the cops have no business using deadly force unless it's absolutely necessary under any circumstances. It isn't that the cops shouldn't want to try to inflict pain on people. It's that they're racist. Of course, we can't actually police their mental processes, and they don't matter. It doesn't matter how racist the cop is. If they don't display that racism by favoritism in their job, then it's not actually impacting anybody. So, I mean, obviously, when we call something Black Lives Matter, what do? We shit on all of the victims who don't self-identify as Black and say, you're not as important. You're not part of the real problem here. It's the Black people being killed that's the problem. Well, it's like I've been advocating against cop violence for years prior to anybody else getting on this BLM kick, but I advocated it properly. That the problem was linked to the way the courts treated cops differently with qualified immunity, that it was linked to the way the police unions defended their officers, no matter how atrocious or appalling the behavior thereof, and that juries had a tendency to just give cops a fucking blank pass. So those are real issues. That's how you genuinely deal with them. And what don't you ever do if you want to be a smart person? You never reference race in a policy consideration because you know it only produces racist injustice. It confers onto others an arbitrary identity of your own creation. Does that answer your question? Now, look, I tell you what else we should do that would help everybody, but including Black people. We should end laws that can be enforced discretionarily. So with drug laws, for example, we have discretionary law enforcement. Let's say cops are racist. Then they're going to arrest more Black people for drug crimes. Why? Because they can let anybody go for a drug crime without any consequences. Let's say, though, just same problem, though. Let's say they don't like fat people. More likely to arrest a fat person for drug crime. Why? Because they have discretion. They don't have to arrest anybody at all. They can just take the drugs away. Again, discretionary policing. Traffic, they're called infractions. When you're driving is one of the only times in which people are subject to what's known as absolute liability, which means it doesn't matter if you had any knowledge of the crime, intent to commit a crime, or motive to commit a crime, or any other prima facie elements of a crime normally. In other words, you don't need the criminal mental state that you do for a normal crime because you are guilty of breaking the law regardless. So in that context, unfortunately, again, you've set up a discretionary policing system where the cops can choose to pull over who they want to under the following pretense. Anytime you have laws that can be enforced discretionarily, which is to say laws that are not called in by somebody who's been victimized by a criminal, then you're going to have discrepancies between justice and actuality. It's always going to occur. So we need to eliminate the discretionary policing opportunities, and then we won't see this. Bruce R., I thought you wanted I thought you wanted solutions. Are you just looking to blame somebody? It wasn't me. Was it you? I mean, who criminalized drugs? Who cares? I just told you the solution. Right? The solution is to decriminalize so that law enforcement isn't involved in drug enforcement. That's the solution. So why are you asking who set up that system? I mean, it was a combination of various parties with various interests who came together to decide that drug criminalization was a good idea. It was a confluence of different parties who then legitimized it in the courts and said this is within the purview of the federal government's doing when the DEA came into existence. Look, Bruce R., I don't know who they are. It is being fixed, and I'm going to fix it more. If you look at the state of criminal law regarding drugs, the country's returned very much towards sanity. Definitely moving in the right direction, right? Now, not every part of the country is, but in general. When it comes to dealing with insane prosecutors who abuse their charging, who abuse their ability to charge people with whatever they want and their ability to offer plea bargains to reduce the actual rate of jury trials to less than 5%. So it's like when you've got less than 5% of your criminal trials actually going to a jury trial, 95% of them ending in plea bargains, that's the fucking problem. Those are real problems. Notice what they don't have anything to do with. Race. They don't have anything to do with race because we acknowledge that race is only and ever always used as a tool to reduce individuals in a way that's unfair to those individuals. So, it's like, as somebody who's fluidly transracial and has been every race, I know what it's like to be a small Guatemalan woman. I know what it's like to be an Inuit hunter. I know what it's like to be an African American. I know what it's like to be a Congolese African. I know what it's like to be Moroccan. I'm an experienced French Canadian. I carry with me all the sufferings and all the joys of all the races all the time. But I only have karate when I'm Chinese. Does that answer your question? My girlfriend is coughing because she's pulling bong rips, of course. Why else would she be coughing? COVID?
Yeah, I just took a bong rip. That's what I'm known for.
God, Bruce R. She's pulling bong rips. That's why she's coughing.
Yeah, like, really? Where have you been?
Weren't you watching?
God, are you really, like, a person who's on this chat? Because, like, all the people who are on this chat know that I cough after bong rips.
Bruce R., my race changes from day to day. That's what it means.
He doesn't
Depending on the
have,
circumstances.
like, any sort of, like, identity that you put on him is just a label.
You wouldn't understand. You're cisracial. If you're cisracial, you just wouldn't understand. Or biracial. I'm fluidly transracial, so don't impress me, please. Oliver Linehan, no. Because I'm making a two-pronged attack here. I'm making a two-pronged attack. I'm saying, number one, I refuse to acknowledge your frame. And number two, if we do impact under your frame, I'm going to impact better under your frame than you are. I mean, that's what you self-identify as. You can self-identify as whatever you want. That's the point. It's like it's completely arbitrary. It's not like race is a real thing. Do I need to read my race is not real card again? So, I think Bruce R. very well may be a legitimately new person who needs to hear the truth. A lot of people need to hear the truth, and sometimes the truth can be scary if you've been living a lie for a long time.
Yeah.
But regardless, the truth is very simple. Race is not real. It's not a real thing. People have different complexions, but that's a far different thing from saying that people with different complexions actually comprise races of people. Scientists have certainly tried for a long time to prove that there are different races, and it's all been disproven. It's bunk. Today, we even understand that there is more genetic diversity within the so-called races than between them. The anthropologist Carol McCalvin writes about how things that we think of as demonstrating a biological basis of race are just not true. Quote, in the United States, the sickle cell gene is more common among African Americans and other populations, but it is not a racial gene, quote unquote. The genetic variation that causes it is found in parts of South Asia, Southern Europe, and the Middle East, and only some parts of Africa. When we turn to the racial category Black, Africa has hundreds, if not thousands, of linguistically, culturally, politically, and historically distinct populations. Africa is home to the shortest and the tallest people in the world. Other traits vary significantly, including skin color, facial traits, nose shape, eye shape, overall body shapes, even the frequency of sickle cell and lactose intolerance. The problem with Americans' folksy way of defining who's who based on skin color is that skin color is not a discrete trait. It's a spectrum, a gradation of skin colors. And so marking off at an arbitrary point at which say somebody paler than this is one thing and somebody darker than this is another, is not a naturally occurring division between people. In other words, when you say you are Black, you are a racist. You're a big racist. Why? Because what the fuck does that mean? Am I supposed to take any meaning from that? I don't take any meaning from that. When you tell me you're Black, I don't know what the fuck that means. Eric, you're just wrong. I can't believe you're peeling that nonsense. If you believe in race, tell me how many races there are.
You don't even have to put your race on like some stuff now, like paperwork. Paperwork, they used to ask you like your race, and now they let you like not even put it on. Hey, Levi Samuels, what's good in your neighborhood?
Okay, there are no elites. Listen, this notion that there's a monolithic group of elites that share an interest and are working together to implement some policy is delusional. That's not how force vectors work in a chaotic multivariant system like this. People are not sharing interest just because they're both rich. Individuals are individuals. Stop trying to reduce individuals to a group and then blame that group as a way to avoid real thinking.
I'm chilling too. I'm thinking about putting.
I'm thinking about maybe changing my race to lizard man from now on.
Yeah, I want to be like Dory Doro.
Hello?
Caminita or something. I don't know his
Hi.
name.
When? Like, what time? Yeah, I think we could do 7:40. We can wrap this up, huh? Yeah, 7:40 is fine.
Just a little.
Look at the calendar. Tomorrow afternoon is fine. So I put it there. Yeah. Yeah. I have no idea what the topic's going to be, but I would say he shouldn't be doing Parley because it's like it's one thing to battle and lose, but what you've set this up as now is he's battled and he's sort of battled and then decided to become someone's little bitch. You know, it's like you can't let the coach win in this matter because the coach is wrong. So he should not do it at all if the coach isn't going to facilitate his actual engagement in real debate, then you shouldn't let the coach win. You know, I can't prep him out for a topic I don't know. It's an impromptu topic because it's an impromptu event because of that. So, and the other thing is he's going to have how many people with him? Two others or one other? Okay, that's a little bit better, but he's still going to have to wrestle with a partner. You know, whether or not. I mean, sure, we can talk a little bit about it tomorrow. It's fine. But I don't know if it's going to help much. But I mean, I can tell him how I think he should. I can repeat to him what he already knows, which is he needs to come up with a framework to find some key terms, link that back to the framework, and impact it both against the framework and against his opponent's framework and against his opponent's impact. And if he does all that, he'll win. He'll be if his team does all that better than the other team, they'll win. He's losing his edge. Mm-hmm. You did. I hope you brought your wagging finger.
Hey guys, so can I have your opinion, please? I was thinking about I have these stickers like Kiki's delivery service, and I have a bunch of them, and I was thinking about either putting them on the back of this like doodle book or putting it on a piece of paper from the doodle book and then hanging it on the poster board. What do you think? Should I put on the back of the stickers on the back of this, or take a piece of paper and put it on the poster board? The pin board poster. I think I can probably do both. I don't know if I have enough for both. One would be very sparse. I gave some to Delilah because that's one of her favorite movies. Really though, I need your help. Back of this with stickers. Or like put it on. Would you like to see the stickers every day? If so, then the board. If you want to see the stickers to motivate you, the journal, then put them in the book. See, I want to put it on the front of this, but like I want to put it all over. See, that's the thing. I want a surface where I can put them all over. They're Kiki's delivery service stickers from Amazon. Highly recommend. You get 100 in a pack. So I have like all these stickers and I love them. and I want to. I'm thinking maybe gonna put them on a separate paper, and pin them up there. Move some stuff around. We're gonna move around. We can move around that. Yeah.
All right, so I'll see you definitely in a little bit. Boy.
Thanks. Do you know Ghibli?
You guys talking about Jigglypuff again?
I can ask you your opinion. Should I put the rest of my stickers on the back of this or on this and then hanging up on there? Or just hanging up somewhere. Yeah.
I don't have an opinion. Whatever you prefer to do.
Rough decisions.
Decisions.
Well, maybe. I think it's on the back of it.
Okay.
And then
Let me take over here for about
please.
10 minutes and wrap this thing up.
Please.
So, I bought this book at, I believe it was Horse Mumbler's advisement. It's called The Savior Generals. And my dad talked to me about it. I haven't read it yet, though. But I plan to read it, start reading it, because I figure it'll kind of put me in the right mood for a presidential run. My goal before the end of this week is, which means it's got to be tomorrow or tonight, is to cut my hair. So I've got the trimmers and stuff.
Are you done ready?
Well, I mean, we have them around here somewhere.
Yeah, they're in the behind the green screen.
And then I probably won't spend much money on wardrobe stuff this month, but like at least by no later than next month, I need to buy a couple of suits. So I look more like a presidential candidate and less like a regular guy. The thing is, I think one of the big advantages of that I potentially carry with me as a candidate is that I do have both a regular guy vibe and an expert vibe, and successfully attaining on both those metrics can be kind of tricky. But the challenging one is going to be a warmth thing, I guess, or but think about everyone's feelings kind of thing. So I don't know what type Destiny is. I don't know. Who spent the whole debate calling Destiny dumb? Was it Dawn, the Destiny dumber? I was thinking race is real, and you would know that if you had a certain machine learning textbook. So how many races are there? No, I'm saying that problems that may be expressed through race, and it may express more harmfully for certain groups than others, and that some of those groups may in fact share racial identity per their own self-identification, that in every one of those instances, the problem is not race, it's something else. In other words, we don't have to worry about the impacts of racist society if nobody is allowed to get away with rights violations, because that's how problems of racism manifest. If there's no rights violation, then there's no articulable harm. So as a consequence, when we focus on race, what we do, it's like, look, let's say I murder somebody and I say it's because their hat was ugly. You don't want to spend, if you're on the side of good and truth and justice, you don't want to spend any of the argumentation time in the case arguing about whether or not the hat was ugly, because it's irrelevant, right? Race is like the hat in a murder case. It doesn't matter why the murderer says he murdered the guy, whether it was because he didn't like his hat, whether because he was jealous of his car, or whatever, right? So it doesn't matter why somebody murders. What does matter is that it wasn't legitimate, right? So it's not self-defense. It's not defense of others. It's not justified. That matters. Now, if you allow yourself to talk about the hat during that case, let's say the defense attorney does a really great job of proving the guy's hat was hideous, absolutely ugly. The only possible thing that can happen from that argument is that some dumb person on the jury thinks that because they won that argument, they must have won the case, and votes to let the guy go, even though he's a murderer. Race is the same as that hat. In every instance in which something bad happens to an individual, regardless of their ontological identity stuff, right? In every instance where something bad happens to an individual that's unjust, we can point to the injustice of the action and ignore the faulty justification metrics of the criminal. Why does race exist as a real thing in America to the extent that it does? It's because people wanted to justify rights violations. When somebody is insisting that they're robbing and pillaging and raping and killing is okay because your hat's ugly, you don't spend any time arguing about the fucking hat. That's just being a little bitch and being frame-walked. I'm not going to be a little bitch and be frame-walked. The people who think that some good is going to occur through using race in discourse, those people the people who want to, the racists in the world, quote unquote, who are just people who want to violate someone's rights. Okay, that's all they are. People who want to violate someone's rights. They're laughing in their hands. They think they're a race. We made this shit up so we can violate their rights. I'm not saying race is no big deal. I didn't make that argument, did I? I didn't say people aren't being brutally assaulted by cops. My point is, because you're so racist, you've excluded everybody who's not black from this brutal assault, even though tons of people who aren't black have been brutally assaulted by cops for both racist reasons, classist reasons, and a shit ton of other reasons. But the thing is, if you're focusing on why the cops are committing the crimes, then you're helping the cops. Because now what's the problem? It's not that the cop murdered somebody. It's that the cop was racist. He just needs to be educated, right? With some diversity training. That's what you want. Because you are allowing yourself to be a little bitch who's frame-walked into believing the hat matters. It doesn't. Don't legitimize the murderers in that way, right? You're legitimizing cops who murder people by saying they do it because they're racist. You're legitimizing them. After all, it's not that they're wicked, it's that they just aren't educated enough about diversity. Why would you give them a pass like that? You know, it's called good thinking. That thing that you said there is called horrible fucking thinking. So yeah, it's like, does it bug me when I see like a domestic assault victim standing up for her abuser? Yeah, it does. It bugs me a lot. Now, if then she comes around and she's okay, I'm no longer a domestic abuse survivor, and she says, frail women's lives matter. She's ignoring every domestic abuse sufferer except for her little type of person. What if she says INFP's lives matter because she's an INFP? Well, the problem isn't that she's whatever, it's that this fucker abused her. Neither the problem nor the solution lie in the victim's identity. They lie in properly putting the onus on the perpetrator. Yeah, cops are just another group. And I am agreeing with this general narrative that cops kill too many people, because I was way ahead of the curve on this. For years before that first shooting, I forget what his name was. It really set everybody off. But I was on this story years and years. I was hammering this on Facebook before the first nationwide wake-up call, right? I myself have successfully gotten $5,000 from the city of Pomona because a cop pushed me off of a curb with the butt of his gun because I told them to stop tasing this guy whom they were abusing. So don't tell me about like siding too much with the cops. But at the same time, I recognize the fact that cops are individuals too, okay? So it is the case that there's a serious problem, though, with the cops that's different than, say, in some other group. Because cops as a group have powers, not rights. They have powers and privileges, not rights. Their rights come as individuals. They still have rights as individuals, but as cops, they have powers and privileges. That's different. That's a different matter. So it's like you're saying people with this job that affords them power and privileges are, on balance, abusing those powers and privileges too much. Is a perfectly fair thing to say, without saying about any particular cop that they're a bad person. I've met plenty of good cops. I've met some bad ones too. But the big problem isn't the people, it's the law. Remove qualified immunity from law enforcement officers, and all of a sudden, this rampant pattern of police violence disappears. Because if you take away qualified immunity, who gets held financially liable in those murder cases where the cop gets away with murder? The cop. So it's like maybe the criminal justice system won't afford the victims any justice, but if the cop has to write him a check every month, that's kind of gratifying too, right? Now, in the current status quo, who has to pay every time a police officer commits a violent crime? Who has to pay every time a police officer commits a violent crime in the status quo? The fucking taxpayer. Who paid me? Even though I told the city of Pomona, I don't want your money. I want that cop's money, and I want this case to set precedent that this particular rights violation does, in fact, fall outside the purview of qualified immunity, namely that he is subjected to civil liability on this. But instead of cooperating with me, even though it would have been in the city's best interest long term because it would have reduced the city's liability, they wanted to settle with me. Can you believe that shit? Now, what's the problem here? Was it racism that I got pushed and the city settled with me? No, it's qualified immunity. Now, that's a real piece of analysis. What should we do about the police problem? Get rid of qualified immunity. Number one. There's no legal reason for it. It's not a law. There's no law that affords police officers qualified immunity. It's a judicial interpretation of a law that affords no one immunity and gives every citizen the right to pursue civil damages from any government official who violates your rights. That's what the law says. The courts interpreted it to also mean except judges and prosecutors, and then later on, and also sort of accept cops. But that's not what the law says at all. So when we are talking about what to do about police violence, we start where the actual problem is. You know, it's like if you have a broken arm and you're like, oh my God, the problem is I can't move this part anymore because my elbow is broken. Well, then making a machine that moves your arm back and forth while your elbow is broken is not going to address anything. It's going to make the problem worse. That's what caring about racist cops does. It says this arm is broken. Let's make it pretend like it's fixed by moving it around a bunch, which is only going to harm it more. Yeah, true that, Oliver Linehan. If all this BLM shit had instead been end qualified immunity, you don't even have to put 4 police because they're the only ones who get qualified immunity. The prosecutors and judges get absolute immunity, ridiculously. Get rid of absolute immunity for prosecutors too. I don't really mind it for the judges, but fuck no for prosecutors. Prosecutors are some of the most evil people in the world. Anyway, yeah. So, right, we have to fix the problem, not arrange the leaves. And that's what talking about race does always, is it arranges the leaves. It's saying, it's trying to control the one thing we can't control, which is people's secret mental processes. It's trying to control that. And in the process, it's failing to control the things we can control, like policy. Yeah, but a lot of these people were trying to kill the cops who shot them. I mean, that's generally not, it's generally not true. There are some police shootings that are justified, of course, but for like most of the ones that have gotten national attention, they certainly weren't justified. Am I a Trump supporter? No, I hate Trump. I'm also not a Biden supporter or Kamala Harris supporter either. I don't fit in any of your boxes, Donald Bryson. I'm correct, is what I am. I'm a correctist. I believe in having the correct position on everything, regardless, because I'm not agenda-based. I'm not agenda-driven. I'm not part of any group. What do you think of people who see a solution in anarchism? I mean, it's just their children. Look, the thing is, yeah, Kamala Harris was a prosecutor. In my opinion, she has no business being a vice president, but that's my opinion. The one thing that's not my opinion is that Biden has no business being president. And the reason it's not my opinion is because he clearly has dementia. I'm not always correct, Donald Bryson. I have the correct position on everything. When you come to me and point out why my position is incorrect, instead of defending it, I go, oh shit, you're right. And I get rid of my wrong position and I replace it with a new one that you provided with me. Now, I've been doing this for years and years and years. That's why I'm basically right about everything regarding public policy. I'm a policy debate coach. I do it professionally. I've been thinking about it for years, and I know what all the winning arguments are. Now, fortunately, the good news is those policies that are supported by the strongest argumentation also are the best policies. It just seems to work out like that. I can't provide you a good explanation exactly as to why, except to say that which is most well argued validates most on a universalist level as well as a particularist level. So that would be, I guess, the justification. It's not whatever protects my ego, Donald Bryson. So you either don't know me at all, which is quite possible. It seems like you're new, maybe. But that's actually not the case at all. In fact, just yesterday, I had a video up was titled Oliver Linehan 1, Host Eric 0, in which it was all about how totally wrong I was yesterday when Oliver Linehan and I disagreed, and he totally schooled the fuck out of me, turns out, right? So that's the kind of thing I do to make sure that I'm not doing what you just say. I make a particular point to always highlight when I'm wrong. It's quite a definitive case against what you're saying. if you look at any actual evidence of how I engage with people and ideas and thoughts. I think Trump was possibly the worst president since Andrew Jackson, but I would say Bush W was almost as bad as Trump, and Obama was about as harmful ultimately as either. I mean, probably Bush was the most harmful in terms of empirics, like in terms of actual total net harms to the nation. Bush W was harm. So I'm not agenda driven, right? I'm not driven by any agenda. I don't follow any totalizing narrative. I'm of the mindset that the only totalizing narrative is that totalizing narratives results in totalitarianism, regardless of it. It doesn't matter what paradigm you think ought to be forced on everybody. It ultimately ends up being forced on everybody if you totalize it. So that's why I oppose agendas and groupist identifications and stuff like that. Kamala would be more qualified than Biden, but that doesn't mean she would be better. Not a high bar declared as being more qualified than Biden just means not having a cognitive merit. Right, I agree that Kamala would be more qualified than Biden, but I also am particularly annoyed by the notion that she kind of backdoors her way into trying to get to the presidency by being the vice president of somebody incompetent. So hopefully maybe she can kind of take over behind the scenes. That really bothers me. It seems so, I really feel that's what's going on, and it seems really shady. I don't have proof that that's what's going on, but that's what it seems like to me. I don't know her motivations or whatever, but well, I agree with you. That's the point I always make. Greetings, wisdom. I'm not necessarily correct. But I am necessarily correct as far as I'm aware. So in other words, I'm always ready to hear a new argument that displaces my current position. I'm not attached to any of them. But it's important to remember that argumentation is a finite science. It's huge, but it's not infinite. And so it's like, I've heard, being a debater or a debater back in high school, way back when, and a debate coach for the last, 15, 20 years or whatever, that means I've heard all the arguments pretty much. Now, I can still be surprised by a new argument, but almost always it is I who am surprising others with arguments they've never heard before, because I've cherry picked all the best arguments for everything. So that way and the thing is, I used to be wrong much more frequently because it takes a long time for an ENTP to build up the experiential knowledge of all these arguments so that they realize, oh, okay, oh, I was wrong there, oh, okay. But eventually that happens less frequently, because if you're genuinely in the habit of objective self-criticism and more interested in being correct than in maintaining your current position on something, being correct overall than being correct right now, then it will make you increasingly, or it will make instances of wrongness decreasingly frequent. What makes debate so important in your view? Well, I'm a debate coach, as I said, but it really has to do with my cognitive function stack, because I'm an ENTP and I have extroverted intuition first, introverted thinking first. I think that abstract models are the best way to deliberate, basically. Like that, when we go to undertake to make a decision, we should first check to see if it legitimizes under a principled frame of reference, and only if it does do we then forgot about this. Okay, I'll be right there. Yeah, let's do it later. That's cool. That's better. 9:30 is fine. How about? Okay. No, that's fine. She wanted to push back anyway. So I just think that the discourse, exchanging words back and forth and providing your reasons why this is right or that is wrong, that process requires the parties, if they're going to engage in it meaningfully, to say things that validate universally, or to lose the affirmation. To the extent that we understand public policy is a matter of affirmation and negation. You affirm a given policy prescription for a given problem that you articulate. You show that there's inherency, which means the problem is real in the status quo and it's not going to solve itself. Okay? That's to show that before we take any kind of legislative action, we should establish inherency. That there's actually a problem and it's not going to solve itself, right? Isn't ethics and morality relative? So the thing is, Donald Bryson, when you do all the various normative argumentation on the matter, it turns out that the best argument regarding morality or ethics, I mean, it depends what you want. If you're trying to distinguish between ethics and morality, then that's a separate question. Let's just say morality, that there are absolute and universal negative moral prohibitions, but that positive moral indications are particularist. That for you to have knowledge about a positive moral indication requires you to have a magical thinking frame, and that in all other contexts it is in fact relative. But negative moral prohibitions are not relative. They are axiomatically derived from the basic notion that human beings can't own each other. Is your job to just say stuff people already intersubjectively agree with? No, competition flow debate is a zero-sum competition. So one person affirms a given resolution, the other person negates it. It's called switch side debate. So if you have like 6 rounds, you might go aff 3 times, neg 3 times on a given resolution. An example resolution would be the last LD resolution was the U.S. federal government should offer all Americans a job guarantee. It was job guarantees, federal job guarantee, and it basically required us to argue employment / inflation / central bank model, how best to sustain. Was it really plausible to sustain low inflation, high growth with a federal jobs guarantee, or does that federal jobs guarantee invariably lower productivity because of like that kind of shit, right? So my students have to be prepped out to debate both sides of it. Now, when you prep out people to debate both sides of a given political issue for many years, you get very good at understanding which things you're arguing because they might win the debate given structural realities and strategic advantages, and which things are the actual winning arguments, and in which instances the actual winning arguments are easy enough to articulate that they're going to win the round. Those are all different things. So it's like the problem that most plagues society is a failure for, at least American society, is a failure of the average citizen to engage properly in talking about politics. So we don't talk about things correctly. To talk about, if you have an opinion about what we ought to do, that's great. If you have an opinion about how things currently are bad, that's possibly helpful. If you have an opinion about how things should be better, you're just pissing in the wind. So it's like a lot of people want to complain, stuff's shitty. Okay, fine. I get it. At least that helps establish inherency. There's a problem in the status quo and it's not going to go away on its own. So those are legitimate, relevant arguments. Things are shitty. But they only establish inherency. Things are shitty does not justify whatever course of action you're going to be advocating. So, it's like I prefer things like, here's how we will solve this exact problem. I have my advocacies are very precise and they justify themselves across multiple frames, but they also limit the scope of their impacts by being very conscribed advocacies. So I don't want to be advocating massive fucking government programs that get unwieldy instantly and generally fail to accomplish what they purport to accomplish. Like, the so-called war on poverty did absolutely nothing to change the rate of relative poverty. And our discussion of poverty is absolutely meaningless unless we are all distinguishing between relative and absolute poverty. Because in terms of absolute poverty, there's not very much absolute poverty in the United States, almost none. There's, and you might say, well, what's the difference? Well, absolute poverty is like less than $1.60 a day or something, as defined by some UN whatever, I don't know. Are you directing that to me, FC Dominator? Oh, is it directed to me? Well, you do. You care enough to come in here and curse at me about it. You care a lot. FC Dominator is deeply in his feels right now. They are caring so much about me. I want to thank you for all your care. It's like, wow, you are a caring, loving care factory. No, not you. Who then? Who are you talking to, FC Dominator? When did you come around and see you coming here? Am I a Hatfield or a McCoy? I'm neither. I'm a Hatcoy McField. Let's see now. Well, let's see. I don't know what Home Fries' gig is. Is the jig up? What's his gig in the jig? That's the question. What guy do I watch? Tom Selleck? You should watch a lot of Tom Selleck. Do you ever make arguments on a religious basis like we shouldn't do this because Jesus wouldn't approve of it? No. Because magical thinking frames can't be used to justify arguments outside of your own self. You can't use magical thinking to say to another person, you should accept my claim because of my magical thinking frame. There's nothing wrong with having a magical thinking frame. I self-identify as Christian, but I recognize that obviously that's not it doesn't really link into public policy at all. It's like, there's no way in which I would ever say, because God or because Jesus or because the Bible or anything like that in answer to any question. In fact, my position is, just because I pray to an almighty God doesn't mean that I affirm statements of his existence. Doesn't mean I necessarily negate them either. So my point is, it's not that faith is definitionally a belief in the absence of evidence or in the face of contrary evidence. So obviously it can't be used to justify anything objective. Yes, I do believe in Jesus Christ, whatever that means. But I typically try not to answer that question. I'd say I don't like to affirm statements about the existentiality of things, especially when the thing about which we're debating the existence thereof is the object of my faith-based behavior. Yeah, it's funny. all our line says it's starting to become funny how new people come in when you talk about politics and go from box to box trying to figure out which one they can put you in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You can't you really can't put me in a box. Am I racist? No, of course not. I hate groupism of all sorts. So Genexio says, I don't believe aliens have ever been here. Well, the thing is, aliens wouldn't really work as a object of faith-based behaviors. So in other words, I'd feel silly praying to aliens. It seems like God's the thing you pray to.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't assume aliens would be able to hear me and hear my prayers. I don't think that just because they're aliens, they're endowed with godlike prayer receptors. You know, same reason why I wouldn't ever pray to a flying spaghetti monster or the Buddha or Muhammad, you know, because those things aren't God. Wait a second, Eric. That sounds like logical argumentation about God. Yeah, I know. It's super slick, slippery logical argumentation about God, in which I both win being a Christian and nobody gains any ground on me argumentationally about the matter. That's the whole point of it. I mean, that's not the whole point of my faith. My whole point of my faith is I needed to become a faith-based person to some extent, at least. And I'm not super faith-based. Like, in other words, I should pray more often than I do. I'm pretty lazy about it. But I needed to become a faith-based person to quit drinking. I was an alcoholic before, and that was the missing component for me was faith, which allowed me to transition from a rationalist to a meta-rationalist. Okay, so let's see here. Somebody says BHM is a good thing. Oh, Black History Month is a good thing. Okay, well, are you also in favor of black seating section and black drinking fountain? You feel bad for them? Are you a little bit of a paternalist? Are you feel condescendingly as though they need your paternal assistance and a special month so that, like the kids' table kind of, right? They can sit at the kids' table. It's fun for them. Okay, how would an ISFP character act as a foil to an ENTP character? It's hard for me to say because I guess maybe that's because of the I guess you call us conflictor types or whatever, the lack of shared functions. But my best friend all through elementary school, middle school, high school was an ISFP. And for the life of me, I can't come up with an answer to that. I'm not quite sure what we had in common. We didn't really have anything in common except I guess I liked the way that he'd be like excited about activities. I like the way that he thinks surfing was really cool, and when I went surfing with him, it helped me to think it was really cool too. I guess something like that. Like I guess I was vampiring his FI, or maybe not vampiring it, maybe just sharing it or something. I don't know if there's a finite quality. If I take some of your FI, do you lose some FI, or do you just grow a new FI? What type would be the best foil for an ENTP? Well, I mean, obviously you've got, if you want somebody that's just constant conflict, you put them with an ESFP. If you want somebody where the relationship breaks down and they end up developing an unbreachable chasm between them, you'd probably do something like ENFP or possibly INFP. INFP would be a better foil. In other words, if you want the ENTP to lose the battle, have an INFP. Have an INFP with saying just a few words, make the ENTP ashamed of themselves for days for having hurt someone's feelings. You know, that's the power of the INTP. Oh shit! Oh shit! Here it comes, Eric. I don't think you were really considering how Carol felt. Put yourself in her shoes. Go away, INFP. Go away. Go away. Now you made me feel sad and guilty. Ah. Every 2 seconds, a man dies on Earth. Well, that's a lot more frequently than on any other planet.
It's a good observation.
I don't say dumb stuff, Donald Bryson. I challenge you to point to anything dumb I've said. I mean, occasionally I'll say a dumb thing. Like usually, if I'm saying something dumb, it's probably a joke that I was too obvious. Maybe occasionally I'll fall guilty to that, but other than that, I don't really say dumb things. Point to one, quote me. You know, you're gonna have a hard time finding something to quote that you're gonna be able to successfully contradict as, you know, say, you know, they're going to successfully win the point on. I'm so blunt and unapologetic, usually a sign of repressed rage against it. I have no rage at all.
No.
Nobody would call me an angry person. No sane human being would call me an angry person. My run for the presidency is actually, I'm Generation X. I'm not a boomer. My run for the presidency is driven by a sense of duty and patriotism primarily, and a sense that from looking around, as far as I can tell, I'm the only person who's anywhere close to my level of statesmanship. In other words, I'm the only one who has the legitimate understanding of public policy on both foreign policy and a domestic policy level, and who's not part of any group and not pushing any agenda, who's post-agenda. So this is what we need. We need a commander-in-chief who's a talker-in-chief, who's an explainer-in-chief, who's a justifier-in-chief. You know, it's like, what would happen if we take this approach to China instead of the current approach? Okay. That's true, Donald Bryson. I do look old for 49. When I cut my hair, as I will shortly today or tomorrow, I will look somewhat younger, but I still will look old for my age, 49. Rachel, my girlfriend here, is 36.
Yep.
And she looks young for 36, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's true. I look older than I am, and she looks younger than she is.
Yeah.
And
I think we look good together.
That's what it is. But regardless, the point is, my question, Donald Bryson, is if you are saying, if you're going to run for president, you better stop being meow, 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 right? Why are you thinking about how other people are going to react to me as a presidential candidate, rather than thinking about your own reaction to me as a presidential candidate? I mean, is your own reaction that you'd never vote for me because I'd be a bad president, that you don't trust me, that in fact I'm not competent, I'm not telling the truth, suppressed rage or whatever? Do you actually believe that? It's not true. I mean, it would be much easier for me and more peaceful in my heart to detach from reading about politics entirely. Because when I read about it, it makes me very sad. I am genuinely a patriot. Here's an example of the thing that upsets me. It proves to you that I'm not suppressed rage. When I heard on NPR one day driving around, a police officer during the Dallas shootings refer to the citizens as civilians, it made me burst into tears. Because, of course, you know, this is a citizen democracy where citizens, I'm not a Trump supporter. No. Where citizens are supposed to rule themselves, right? The police are a citizen law enforcement organization. Civilians are people who are occupied by an army. So that's the sort of passion I have for the country. Note that it's not suppressed rage. It is, in fact, a deep-seated sorrow at the decay of our civic values, at the decay of people being aware. No police officer should ever, ever, ever refer to a fellow citizen as a civilian. We are not in a war zone. They are not an invading army. So it's like, why does that upset me so much? Because it reveals how little people know how to think and talk about our shared citizen democracy. It shows me how quickly it will fall into a state of totalitarian little sets of bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
Who do I support as a president? Myself. I'm running for president in 2024. I think the current president has dementia and is not therefore qualified to hold office. I think the previous president was an absolute clusterfuck of a disaster. I think the president before that did an immense amount of harm and almost no good. I think the president before that did an immense amount of harm and almost no good. Clinton wasn't too bad. Carter was weak, but didn't really do anything. So it didn't really do any harm.
Yeah.
Ford obviously was just a filler. Nixon, a crook. JFK, fucking too activist in his president. And remember, the president is an executive. It is not the legislature, right? It is not the president's job to write legislation. It's not the president's job to advocate a legislative agenda.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, I'm in favor of sensible American democracy. I'm not a libertarian. I'm not a leftist. I'm not a conservative. I'm a sensible man. I'm a sensible citizen who grew up in a time and with a father who made him into a genuine civics patriot, who believed in the Supreme Court preserving rights, who believed in the legislature dealing with problems, who believed in the president being a representative of the country and not of a subset of children who yell loudest. You know, I'm tired of presidents representing children. Isn't it time for the adults in the country to have a president that represents them?
Well said.
Reagan was bad too. But yeah, Reagan was bad. I hated Reagan so much back when Reagan was around.
Did you?
Now, in retrospect, he seems mild compared to more recent presidents.
It's true.
But, the last time anything as bad as Trump happened was Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was another ESFP president, and those are the two low points in the nation's history, frankly, is when the executive branch has no respect for the laws. And you get a disaster called Andrew Jackson or disaster called Donald Trump. Let's see here. Do I play Fortnite? No, I don't really play any video games. I've been known to play a game of chess or two with people around here. Not very good at it. I'm okay at it, I guess. Okay-ish. Is that a sufficiently non-ambitious status to claim? Okay-ish. I think that'd be about right. Maybe slightly sub-okay.
Slightly sub-okay.
Thanks, FC Dominated. You're cool too. See, we can be friends.
Can we cheers to that?
Cheers. I'm always super happy when somebody comes in and I'm not sure first, maybe they're just a spite monkey or something. And because I have some people come in here and just shit, they just hate me and they keep coming back. I keep paying it was like one person or something, and then they keep just coming in here and attacking me or whatever. But anyway, it's always very pleasant when I talk to somebody and there's some initial clash, but we end up recognizing each other as fundamentally reasonable people who we can talk to, who we can talk with.
Yeah.
As long as you're fundamentally reasonable, I can talk with you. I should be able to convince you to vote for me for president because I'm so clearly superior to any other candidate by any metric anybody could possibly use. I'm so vastly superior to any candidate anyone's seen in their lifetime that how could you not vote for me?
I have to say, even before dating Eric, I saw this video where he was talking about running for president, and he said it was such conviction that I was like, yeah, I would vote for him.
The thing is, my answer to that question, Marge, is Polk. And like Polk, I will be a one-term president. I will not be running for a second term. I'm serving 4 years, and that's it. I don't want to serve 2 terms. So I'll tell everybody that right away. I'll guarantee going in, I will not run for a second term. And you will not talk me into it. And you're not going to, 4 years from now, you're not going to hear me backpedaling on this. I'm done after 1 term. I will make that clear throughout the campaign.
What do you guys think about PP being first cat or house cat? What do they call?
Hi, James Sorrell. Because 1 term fulfills my duty as a patriot. I don't feel I owe the country 8 years. I feel I owe it 4 years.
4 years is a good amount of time.
8 years is a long fucking time.
Long time. I went to Polk Street School in elementary school.
Polk got more good shit done in 1 term than just about any other president that's gotten done in 2 terms. Polk is an impressive guy. Polk's a pragmatist. He's not an agenda-based guy, right? He's a pragmatist. That's what you're going to get from me, too, is recognizing that the job of the executive is to execute the laws of the country and stuff and be the commander-in-chief and stuff in ways that are both considering a lot of factors, considering the perspective of the constituency, so not doing shit that's hugely unpopular just because you want to, right? But also considering matters of principle, being willing to do things that are unpopular when it's necessary. Also considering capacity to change narrative. In other words, if something's unpopular, but I'm right, I should be able to convince people that it should be popular, right? Also considering the fact that sometimes you can't get what you want and you have to make compromises. You know, it's like, this is how a sane adult talks about things. Have you heard any other candidate ever talk like this?
No, not in recent years. Not even 10 years.
So yeah, I plan to be president, and I got to tell you, I'll still be live streaming every day though. I'm going to set aside at least an hour, maybe half an hour. Half an hour maybe to live stream every day, because I'm going to have a lot to talk about at the end of every day, because I've been doing a bunch of stuff all day, right? So I'll be like, oh, Jesus. So let me tell you about the CIA briefing this morning. Boy, oh boy, are those CIA guys nuts.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
I mean, wouldn't you like to be able to have those conversations with the president every night? If you wanted to check in, every night on how the country's doing. Have the president actually go on there and say, well, this is what I did today. And do you have any questions?
That's nice.
And I'm not interested in hiding shit. It's the people's business, right? The president does the people's business. It doesn't do his business. Trump kept mistaking the presidency for his office. It's the office of the president. It's the office of the commander-in-chief. One is privileged enough to fill that role at the discretion of the voters and is expected to be grown up enough to handle it.
I feel like I'd be a good first lady.
Yeah, you'd be a great first lady.
Thanks.
And I think that you would do a great job of like, if I get called away during the live stream by crisis with North Korea, you can continue talking about celebrities and stuff until I get back.
Thanks. I'm glad you don't mind me talking about pop culture.
I mean, that's America, right?
Really
I care about pop culture too. America is a confluence of a lot of different things. I love pop culture, and I love intellectual shit too. And I love anime, and I love, it's like, I like a lot of stuff, like anybody. So on executive orders, my first business with executive orders is to get the Justice Department to help me structure out a way to get the courts to address the question of what's the scope of executive order power. I'd like to conscribe that. I'd like to limit it somewhat from what it currently is. I think the scope of executive power is too broad right now and not as it should be, as indicated in the Constitution. So I'd like to get clarity from the courts on the scope of that power, and I'd like to set precedent of it having more limited scope rather than more expansive scope. Currently, presidents think they can do whatever the fuck they want, and they shouldn't. That's not the job.
No, it's not the job at all. Aren't they public servants?
Yeah, they're public servants, but they don't really act like it, do they? Typically,
No.
there's no. I mean, what I just said. Like, wouldn't that be nice if you could hear the president actually talk about what he did every day for half an hour or something, and ask a couple questions, and have a president who wanted to answer the hard questions rather than wanted to avoid them, wanted to give you real answers rather than just answer a different question because they don't like that or whatever, like everybody else does.
I know I do.
You'll never catch me avoiding the substantive point that someone's making. I will take it. If I misunderstand it at first, maybe I might need clarification, but you will never catch me purposely avoiding someone's argument in order to win without actually addressing it or something. Never. I won't do that. So you will be heard under a Strauss presidency. Your positions that you favor, they will be heard and respected as alternative positions. So I don't think that stupid lady who talks about the like, what are they called? Crisis sectors stuff. I don't think that stupid lady should be punished for her craziness, but she certainly should never have been elected to be a congresswoman.
Oh yeah. Oh right. Green.
But the thing is, what she should do, having said that, is there should be a general expectation that she has to stand with me, the president. The president's going, okay, well, I heard you said all this bullshit. Come justify it. And then she has to get her ass fucking grilled and schooled in front of the nation. That's the consequence. If she has enough argumentation to back it up, then we go, oh, maybe she's right. Of course, she doesn't. And so she gets exposed as an idiot. And that's right, too. Not some formal punishment, right? Having to explain yourself to Eric is punishment enough for anybody. If I have, as the president, if I were going to want any kind of arbitrary power, it would be the power to subpoena other government officials before me to read them the fucking riot act.
That would be so epic. I don't even know. People don't know. People don't know what hammer.
Maybe that's the first executive order question I'll have the courts decide. Do I actually have the power to subpoena individual government officials, not regular citizens, not only public officials, only federal public servants, before me to yell at them? And then the courts can tell me if I do or not.
Let me tell you.
I want the courts to actually have to take a stand on executive orders. In the past, they've always been in opposition with the presidency on some level, like, well, we want to keep the separate powers thing, and the president's always pushing for more power, right? Well, this time we're going to go in there, and I'm going to be on the same page as the constitutionalists and the jurists and say, let's knock this shit off. We don't need a fucking king with decree power. It's ridiculous.
Let me tell you, having host Eric yell at you is a scary.
Some people aren't scared by it.
I don't know how they're not. Really?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like most people. Well, I mean, it is.
Delilah just fucking crushes me every time I start getting yelly. I don't want to talk to you.
Yes, well, that's true.
But that's because I love her and adore her so much, and I can't yell at her. And when I do, I feel so sad in my heart.
Oh my goodness! See, this is what we need a president that can make these kind of faces so that you know that he's not lying. He's totally true and genuine.
The thing is, almost always, I'm never mad. I'm almost never mad at you. I'm almost always mad at something stupid you said. around here anyway, for sure. It's like
Yeah, I've
people
definitely
don't
said
really
stupid shit.
like, even when somebody does something to me, like happened the other night where I got kind of tricked into participating in something that I wouldn't have willingly participated in.
Oh.
I don't really get mad at that person. I just think, but I do take an adversarial stance. Like I do try to. I don't get mad. I get even. It's like, so it's like I really schooled that guy in some text exchanges because he tried to play it like I wasn't really trying to fool you, and I'm like, no, you're trying to weaponize my channel. Fuck off.
ENTPs can make people cry. It's just part of the nature. Well, at least
it's also easy to make ENTPs cry, though.
Yeah, it is.
You'll see me cry plenty of times during the course of the candidacy and the presidency. I will be crying frequently because I've lived in kind of a blessed, naive space much of my life where the world is good, filled with good people who are nice people, and everybody's basically well-intentioned.
It's true.
When I see decay in the fabric of what I think is important, like the habits, institutions, and discursive ways of democracy, it hurts my heart because I guess just because of the way I was raised. I was raised by an ESTJ father who was in the military and has a philosophy PhD. It's a weird combination, right?
It is. It's so funny.
Winston's mom, don't be saying that just jokingly, because
oh my gosh, no. Honestly, even when Eric just gets stern with me, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I can't help myself.
I almost never get stern.
Almost never. It really doesn't. It doesn't happen like that. I don't like getting in trouble. That's why.
What did my dad do? He was a administrator for a variety of sort of government organizations. Like he was a principal of a special ed school under LA County Schools. He was a regional center director for LA County Office of Education's coordination with the regional center is like the thing that coordinates services with sites, kind of. He was a Census Bureau director. I have some old badges and shit from a briefcase from like the 80s that say like U.S. Census Bureau head guy, or I forget what it says. It says some title like director or something. And in fact, my in some of these books here, my dad's census office was in Compton, and pictures from his working time in the census, it kind of looks like a little bit. It has a bit of a colonialist vibe. There's my dad and a room full of very dark women.
Wow.
So then he ended his career just being, I guess that was after he retired. He was a substitute teacher for a while. But he only was able to do a certain amount of that because of the arrangement he made in his retirement package that he took. So they golden handshaked him. They were trying to get people off of the payroll rolls and onto the pension rolls. And so during that time, they cut people really good deals if they retire early. Of course, that's such a horrible policy because you're just pushing your economic problems down the road to the next guy. You're not addressing anything really. You're just saying, instead of having a payroll problem, let's have a pension problem.
Yeah.
Well, Of course, and now the states are all trying to get out of their pension commitments, and the courts are like, no, you can't. And I'm like, keep saying that, courts, until both my parents die.
Yeah.
Then you can change that policy. It's a little self-interest for you. But as president, I wouldn't be able to consider those things. I won't be able to consider my self-interest at all when making policy decisions. So for something like that, it wouldn't be a federal matter anyway. State pensions are not a federal matter. Obviously, they're a state matter. The Justice Department might weigh in on that on a brief of some sort, like friend of the court kind of thing. But I probably wouldn't advise the Justice Department to weigh in on that one at all. If it's more of an individual rights issue or an incorporated constitutional amendment, like a Bill of Rights amendment that's been said to be a right possessed by the people, regardless of the sovereign, versus a non-incorporated right, which means a right possessed by the people under the sovereignty of the federal government. So non-incorporated rights can be violated by the states, basically. So if there were to be a case that came up regarding an incorporated right, I would instruct the Justice Department to weigh in on it for sure. But if it's an unincorporated right, I would probably afford the states their legitimate purview, as is the appropriate decision for the executive, regardless of how I feel about the specific law. So this is the thing I'm talking about. A good president, no matter how he feels about a given state's law, if he's competent, he first assesses whether that state matter is appropriately, whether it's currently considered to be under the purview of the state sovereignty, whether it's appropriately, according to the Constitution, considered to be under the purview of state sovereignty, and whether or not those two things are in alignment with each other. So accordingly, if they conclude that it's appropriately a state matter, then the president, no matter how strongly he feels about it, shouldn't do anything about it, right? It's not his job. Just like you don't want your school principal, the principal at one school, going over to the school next door and starting bossing kids around, right? It's like, that's not your school, fucker. Go back to your school and be principal there. What's your view on Common Core? It's a fucking nightmare. One thing I would like to see happen, although probably won't, but I would test the waters to see how much capacity I had to do this, is get rid of the education department entirely. Why is there a federal education department? Education is definitively not within the purview of the federal government. I think Common Core is a disaster. I think if education were to be properly executed, it would be individuated to the students and to whatever extent possible by the students. Students should be driving their own education by pursuing things that interest them and running afoul of barriers of understanding or knowledge that prevent them from going further, then pursuing that knowledge or skills in order to get past that barrier. That's how education should happen, by an actual purposeful, I want to do but I don't know how, instead of the way it is now, which is, we want you to want to know Well, I don't give a fuck what you want me to want to know, right? It's like, you can force me to be educated in all these stupid things that maybe I care about one of them or maybe none of them or whatever. Or you could actually ask me, how do you think we could best serve your educational interests? Nobody ever thinks to ask the children, not just the children, but a child, how do you think, if you were ideally educated by us, that education would look? Nobody asks any child that. It always has to be so standardized, right? Well, standardization does one thing really well, and this is why it's so popular. It gives you empirics. So it's like, we're not getting any empirics on what's wrong with this healthy patient. Well, let's stab a few things in there and put some chemicals in here and put those things over there and there. Now we're getting plenty of data. Oh, it's not looking good. Well, that's because the thing you're doing is no longer education. It's indoctrination or ontological forcing or something. Education is when an individual pursues skills or knowledge in order to go past a barrier produced by their lack of understanding. No children get educated as a consequence. Now, I'm not saying primary grades aren't important. I think every child should know basic arithmetic, subtraction, reading, at basic level writing. Okay. But once you master those basic academic skills, those are the skills you need then to pursue your own education, especially now with the internet. So once I've been taught to read and write, I need to figure out what I want to do. It's not just playing. So on some level, most people have to spend at least some time not playing. Most people won't be happy if they spend all of their time playing. They want to do something that leaves behind some mark or something, right? So we need to convey basically a framework for children to understand their own ontology. Why am I here on this earth is one question, but how will I know if I'm living well is a more important question. And that requires anybody to ask the question, well, what do I want? What comprises the good? What would comprise the most realized version of myself, and so forth. If we're not talking about those things explicitly, then we have already shot education in the head by the time the kids leave third grade. Like, I guarantee you, most people here under 30 would learn more useful information by watching that many hours of talking with famous people than they would from taking that many hours of college liberal arts classes.
Oh my God. Seriously.
Of course, if you're going to go to college because you want to be a chemist, then you're going to have to take organic chemistry. And that's a different sort of thing, right? Organic chemistry is something that is worth taking a college class on because it's not reason-based. It's empirics-based. And so it has one way, you can learn it all. The information doesn't expire very quickly. What you learn in OChem 20 years ago and what you learn in OChem today may be different, but not many, but the basic stuff that was true back then is still true today.
Yeah.
So if you're learning skills and knowledge that you need to accomplish things like chemistry or whatever, great. Then you're doing the right thing with your college education. However, if you've never actually engaged any question that requires you to have chemistry to answer it, why are you taking chemistry? Well, because I want to go into sciences or blah, blah, blah. But why? Well, because it's whatever. The only correct answer is I'm trying to figure out the answer to question, yeah. Or because I want to, because I find chemistry easy and want to make a lot of money. I think biochem is a good place to make money. That's a fine answer too. But the problem is people are being educated before they have any concept of whether they want to be educated, how they want to be educated, what they want to be educated in, or what comprises education.
Yeah.
And then you end up with these ridiculous things like identity politics comprising humanities coursework. Of course, identity politics runs afoul philosophically
I think we're out.
of all axioms that we take seriously as important. In other words, it's never the case that we think it's a good idea to say you're just a meh, so you can be reduced to that. We never think it's a good idea to do that. And identity politics fundamentally violates that axiom, and yet still manages to gather up enough momentum to comprise a substantial amount of a humanities curriculum. I mean, what fucking bizarro world is this? Well, gender studies makes a little bit more sense because gender's a real thing. It's like, or sex is anyway. Now, gender studies is just a way of politicizing,
Yeah.
again, same some rights violations or some individuals being oppressed by with words, which is always bad to do. So gender studies is basically dumb, but it is true that chicks are subject to a particular kind of both ontological and actual violence that men generally aren't subject to. So there's stuff there that's worth studying. It's just that because a whole school of study begins with let's talk about how blameworthy the blameworthy group is.
Well, yeah.
Then it's doomed to always fail to be useful or meaningful. All right, let's go get weed.
I'm not trying to rush you.
It is not you who is rushing me, my darling. You know what's rushing me? Our complete lack of weed.
Okay. It is true.
Because if you run out of weed, get weed. And if you run out of weed, get weed. And gender is a social construct, but sex isn't. And gender is not really either a social construct per se. It's just we do tend to have one attribute that we can talk about called masculinity or femininity. So we can talk about how tall someone is. We can talk about how loud someone is. We can talk about how masculine or feminine someone is. Now, the thing is, loudness or tallness are what we would call rules-based critiques. In other words,
oh my gosh,
you can literally measure how loud someone is. They're this many decibels. You can literally measure how tall someone is. They're this tall. Whereas gender, when expressed as non-sex, in other words, when expressed as discussion of plots on a spectrum of masculinity to femininity, is a discretionary distinction, but is nevertheless a real distinction. So, for example, a rural distinction is you can't drive until you're 16. A discretionary distinction is you can't drive until you're mature enough. So you wouldn't want a discretionary distinction in that kind of a context, but you do need one in this kind of a context. So just because masculinity and femininity are discretionary doesn't mean they're arbitrary, and it doesn't mean they aren't real. You say they're a social construct. Well, I mean, the thing is, it's kind of a chicken and egg question. Like, which came first, the actual distinction or the mapping of the distinction? One problem that a lot of people who are analyst types, that is, say ENFPs or something, might make is they'll confuse confuse frames of reference or something. Like, yes, masculinity and femininity shouldn't be assumed based on sex. So in other words, you shouldn't look at me, see I'm male, and assume I'm masculine if you want to be fair to me as an individual. But at the same time, it's empirically inferred because most males are more masculine in their behavior, and most females are more feminine in their behavior. Now, you might say, well, they're only acting that way because they've been told that's how they are, except that's where I'm saying it's a chicken and egg question. It is true that women generally tend to act more feminine, and as we define it, and men generally tend to act more masculine as we defined it. So, as a consequence, which came first, the actual distinction or the linguistic distinction, is kind of a moot question, I guess, a moot point. The question is moot. All right.
Can I answer Winston's mom question?
Sure.
So I have Cancer in my 10th house, and
which is much better than in her throat.
Right. And I've gotten from astrologers that I should work in real estate. Look at that big Trouble, handsome cat.
There's Trouble here?
Yeah, Trouble's right outside.
Hey, Trouble, you want some dinner? I got some dinner for you.
So yeah, people say that astrologers say that I should work in real estate. I think I am too lazy to work in real estate. So, although I did work at a real estate agency a couple of years ago, and I worked the front desk, and it was like really laid back. I only worked on the weekends. It's fun. I liked the job a lot, but they took advantage of me there, so I left. Like, I started to like work more hours and more days than I was like promised, and just like backhanded stuff was going on. And
Well, I mean, Donald Bryson, I disagree with you about that. I think that the right to free expression is the one thing that saves us every time, no matter what runs afoul. Now, I do think that contemporary reality poses a new challenge, which is people susceptible to disinformation can be easily taken advantage of in a variety of ways because of the way information travels via social engagements, like social media and stuff, right? So I've seen it myself. I've had to argue so many times, explain to people so many times that the Illuminati is a meta joke by the Discordians, and that you should not believe in it, right? It's like it doesn't make any sense, and for the following reasons, and that it also suggests to you that you view systems in a way that will always be wrong if you're dealing with any kind of dynamic system. So it's like it pisses me off when smart intuitives 30 years ago or whatever think they're going to play a funny joke and make up some bullshit and watch as it catches fire. Well, you know what? They're making my life harder. 30 years later, they're making my life harder. It's not funny. Now, 30 years ago, I might have thought, oh, this is a funny idea. I want to do it because I didn't understand how powerful language is, Now, I try my very best to never say bullshit and to be reasonable about everything. Like, well, here's where you got a point. Here's where you failed to establish your point. I'm open to having you establish it, right? Whatever your point is, I'm open to hearing you substantiate it. But the fact is, most people are a very far distance from actually knowing why they believe what they believe or why what they affirm ought to be affirmed or what they negate ought to be negated. It's like when you push people's push the lids on people's argumentation buckets, you discover that a lot of them are empty or filled with weird things that it's like, so why did you pick these buckets in the first place? Well, the fact is they don't. They pick the outcome. They pick their conclusion first, and usually that conclusion is sort of, it cascades down from their group that they align with, either left or right, and then they just assume that if it's on their side, it's the right thing to advocate for, and whatever supports that position is good enough. Of course, the reality is I never want anybody to agree with me for the wrong reason, because to me, that's the worst kind of enemy. I'd rather have you be the best disagreeer in the world than agree with me for the wrong reason, because then you're getting your wrongness on me. The aura of your wrongness is bespoiling my pristine aura of correctness. Come at me, bro, is what I have to say towards cancel culture, quote unquote, whatever. Bring it, motherfuckers. The problem that people have when if they're going to try to cancel me is I almost everybody, when attacked, goes on defense. My number one, if I were going to come up with a Eric Strauss's version of Jordan Peterson's version of 12 Rules for Life, it would be number one. When you have the moral high ground, always attack, never defend. Number two, when you don't have the moral high ground, always surrender, never defend. Right? If you're in the right, then bring it, motherfuckers, because it's like one of those anime characters who knows he's OP. And there's like these weak tough guys who think they're OP, but really all of them together aren't even remotely as OP as the main guy. And he just kind of smirks and says, "Oh, you want to play?" You know, and then they cut the scene that he's walking away and there's like 5 bloody bodies behind him. Go ahead and try to attack me for something I've said or done. If you're going to attack me in any way in which I can engage you at all, then I will engage you. But you're not gonna end up smelling like anything but shit at the end of that. Yeah, I watched shit tons of anime. You name it, I watched it. Pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, I've watched all the good ones.
I'd say you're like.
I started with Naruto Shippuden, then a number of years passed, and then I got into anime full blast for not that long ago. I watched AOT, I watched Fire Force, World Trigger, I watched all of Hunter x Hunter, I watched all of Blue Exorcist, I watched
My Hero Academia.
all of My Hero Academia.
Black Clover.
Black Clover, yeah, I think I said Black Clover. No, I didn't. Black Clover. Now we're watching Dorohedoro, which is really quite good. It's about this sort of like devil world. And then also the other one that's fantastic is Durarara, which is on Netflix. Those are 2 Netflix ones. But I have Crunchyroll. I pay Crunchyroll for Crunchyroll, and we have Netflix too. So until I realized that Netflix had some good animes on it, I was kind of getting depressed because I was scraping the bottom of the barrel, it felt like, on Crunchyroll. Although, I got to tell you this, even when I felt like I was scraping the bottom of the barrel, I pushed random, and I ended up with this pretty damn cool, like, anime based on, like, StarCraft. It was interstellar navies fighting each other, you know, and the officers, and they go, and, like, of course, being anime, the admirals that are making dumb mistakes are how they ever became admirals is beyond anybody. They're like, no, we have more ships. We must be brave and bold. Just charge straight into them. And then the smart admiral goes, oh, they made a mistake. Yeah, they're running their navy like a 3-year-old. I mean, why are the bad admirals that aren't good at their job so incompetent? Like, who promoted them? Anyway, but it was pretty good. This interstellar navy show. I forget exactly what it was called. I watched Overlord. I watched Sword Art Online. I stopped watching Sword Art Online after the main arc when I started to get into Gun Art Online. It was just getting stupid. May I recommend Kite Close Creek Olympia or whatever it's called? That's a great one about the origin of the Olympics.
That really is a hidden gem. That was a random shuffle gem.
I agree, RC. Cowboy Bebop needs to be on Netflix or Crunchyroll because I have never seen Cowboy Bebop because it's like impossible to find. Does the Ghostbusters female remake hurt you in any tangible way? I haven't seen it. Oh, that's at Leaf Trimmer. If it's bad art, then yes, it hurts me in every tangible way. If it's good art, then no, it pleases me in tangible ways.
Is it weird to ask? I don't know if I'm asking a loaded question. That's like I shouldn't be asking.
Go ahead. What is it? Load your question.
Are the anime boobies like when you're? See, this is like a loaded question. When you're
Rachel, are you feeling insecure? You have nothing to feel insecure about. Okay? I love you. I mean,
God,
why?
I'm so annoying. I'm so sorry.
You're not so annoying. I just want to remind you of how much sex we have.
I am
Which is
turtling right now.
Quite
guys.
a bit of it, really, for a 50-year-old man. I mean, it's not like I'm 22. It's not like 3 times a day or anything, but you know.
Oh my gosh! Please.
Sometimes, you know, more than I normally continue to have a year and a half into a relationship. By that point, normally it gets less frequent, you know. But you're sexy AF, girl. So every time I see you, I'm like, sup, girl? Hey, girl. You know you my world. And I do this. That's how girls get.
He does. He's so seductive.
And that's how I seduce her.
Aww.
That's the seduction dance of the wild, simpering Eric. Okay, we're going to get weed. That's right. I forgot. You guys trapped me with your good, interesting things you're saying instead of talking more.
Good thing.
Okay, thanks for being here. I love you all with the tenderest dewdrops of my heart.
It's true.